Immortal Cultivation. I run an internet cafe in another world. This video is purely for entertainment and does not infringe on copyrights or laws. The rights to the novel and image belong to the original author. We do not claim ownership. Don't like waiting and want to listen to this fanfic in full now? Subscribe to our Patreon, where you'll find the best fanfics. Chapter 76. Convinced. If you look closely under her sleeves, you will find several very thin translucent silk threads quickly knotted in her hands, just like a spider weaving a web, as if controlling something. The Lengayu sisters practiced different techniques. Lengayu was good at charm, but Zinayu was better at puppetry. When she came out just now, she used puppetry to control several ministers and made them work for them wholeheartedly. Zinayu originally wanted to take this opportunity to control Bai Luo as well and use him for them in the future, but she didn't expect that after she tried for a long time, Bai Luo, who was standing in front of her, didn't react at all and asked Lengayu, "Your sister is quite interesting. You want to control me with just puppetry?" Zinayu was shocked and her hands were messed up. The puppetry almost backfired on her. Lengayu was extremely embarrassed and quickly stepped forward to stop Zinayu and shook her head at her. She took the initiative to explain, "Boss, don't be angry. My sister just wanted to test your cultivation because she admires the strong very much, but she has no ill intentions. This is the first time I have encountered someone who uses this method to test the future, boss. If she doesn't want to work for me, just say so. I have never thought of forcing her to stay." Bai Luo turned around and looked at Zinayu expressionlessly. Although she is young, she is quite thoughtful. If he hadn't reacted in time just now, and if the system hadn't given him a protective layer that made him immune to most attacks when he was first sent here, I'm afraid he would have been manipulated by someone by now and would only know how to do things for the two sisters in the future, right? This mind is really not simple at all. Boss, I'm sorry, I didn't mean it. My sister has explained it for me just now. Don't be angry. Zinayu knew that she had met a master, and she quickly bowed her head to apologize. How long have you been learning puppetry? Bai Luo did not answer her question just now, and he didn't think of forgiving her easily. Instead, he changed the subject. It's been more than 10 years. Zinayu didn't know why he asked that, but under his gaze, she couldn't help but tell the truth. I've only learned a little bit in more than 10 years, and it seems that my strength is not that good, Bai Luo said, and he stood in front of her. I don't know where he pulled out the silk threads from. There were 100 of them, and the silk threads of various colors were quickly woven into two puppets in his hands. It took him less than a quarter of an hour to give them life and movements, and then he looked at Zinayu sarcastically. When your strength reaches this level, think about whether you can control me. I'm wrong. Please punish me, senior. Zinayu's eyes were straight, and she was completely convinced. She bowed her head respectfully in front of Bai Luo. Only those who have learned puppetry know how difficult it is. If her sister hadn't found her a high quality puppetry practice method, she wouldn't have made such obvious progress in such a short time. But what is the background of this senior? He looks so young, but he knows very advanced puppetry. Could he be a master? I'm demonstrating this to you, so that you know that you are not good enough in front of me. Bai Luo moved his hand, and the two puppets were turned into threads again, and slowly walked towards the inside of the internet cafe. If you are not honest enough, and I manipulate you one day, what do you think your sister will do? Senior, I won't dare to do it again. Zinayu followed behind Lengayu and apologized respectfully. Senior, please be magnanimous, and don't hold it against me. That depends on your performance in the future. Bai Luo introduced to Zinayu as he walked. Lengayu already knew the business model of the internet cafe very well, and since she was his own sister, he naturally didn't want her to be stage frightened in front of Bai Luo. When he introduced it, he deliberately supplemented a lot besides Zinayu, just to ensure that she learned all these things as soon as possible. After Bai Luo led her around the internet cafe, he asked, "This is your first time here. I recommend you a game that girls like. The computer is already turned on for you." As he said that, he asked her to sit on a sofa chair on the left. Zinayu looked at Lengayu carefully and only sat down carefully and touched the things beside her when Lengayu nodded to her. She felt very new to all this and had never touched such things before. Let your sister teach you and have fun. If you don't understand anything, let her explain it. I will formulate the corresponding rules and regulations in the front. Come to me if you encounter any trouble. Bai Luo said, without staying in front of her for even a moment. He turned around and left. Xinyu glanced at Leng Gaiyu awkwardly. Sister, did I offend him just now? Read the error-free version at 69 book bar. 6 equals 9 plus BOOK_BAR released this novel for the first time. It's okay. The boss is not such a petty person. You play first, and I will find a way to explain it to him tomorrow. Leng Gaiyu glanced at Bai Luo, and it was obvious that the boss was in a bad mood at the moment, so it was better not to make him angry. She felt that, after letting her sister see the amazing and magical aspects of this internet cafe, her sister would definitely put away her arrogance. She knew her sister very well. Both of them were talented and had a famous teacher to teach them. When she was away from home, it was Xinyu who watched the big and small things of Kanglang country. It was inevitable that she would be a little proud. She also knew that this was the critical period to change her sister's mind, so she must not waste it. Xinyu had never touched such a rare thing as a game before, and she found it very interesting. With Leng Gaiyu's hand-in-hand teaching, she had already mastered it in just half an hour. She was completely fascinated by all the dazzling things in front of her, and she was reluctant to stop playing for more than an hour. It was still Leng Gaiyu who reminded her, that's enough, let your eyes and brain rest for a while. We still have to settle the spirit stones with the boss later, and the trial time has passed. Sister, I really think my cultivation has improved a little. Xinyu carefully touched her forehead with her, and after letting her check her cultivation, her face was full of excitement. Sister, if I had been practicing in the internet cafe, I would definitely become a first-class master soon, right? Yes, so you must cherish the opportunity here, Leng Gaiyu said earnestly. Under the boss, as long as you do your job well, he will not treat you unfairly. The reason why my cultivation level has increased so fast is because I work in the internet cafe during the day, and I can have time to play games alone at night to improve myself. If you do a good job, he should treat you the same way. I know, sister, I can bend and stretch, too. Xinyu nodded vigorously. At Leng Gaiyu's suggestion, she deliberately took out a set of extremely equal tea sets and carefully controlled the heat. Chapter 77, The Troubled Woman. After boiling the spiritual spring water, she personally brewed tea and brought it to Bai Luo with a tone of obvious flattery. Senior, I was blind and offended you just now. Please forgive me. I will work hard in the internet cafe in the future. If you have anything to say, just tell me and I will do it. It seems that you are very interested in the things here. Bai Luo took the teacup and smelled it. It was top-grade spiritual mist tea. The two sisters were generous. Yes, I have never seen such a magical thing as an internet cafe. Please give me a chance. I will work hard. Okay, then you can stay here from now on, but you have to go to the next internet cafe with me first. I have something to tell you. But what are your plans for things here? He knew Leng Yu's true identity, but if the two sisters left, what would happen to the affairs of the Kanglang country? Leng Yu was a smart person. Seeing his eyes, she understood immediately and quickly assured him, boss, please rest assured, both of us sisters are fine and can go back with you. Okay, then it's settled. You can ask your sister about the salary and benefits. The difference with my side is not big, but it depends on your personal ability. Xinyu was confused. She didn't understand these at all. But seeing her sister nodded to her, she didn't think much and agreed at once. Anyway, what she saw was the improvement of her strength by playing games here. She didn't care whether there was a salary or not. Anyway, she didn't lack money. Then pack up your things. I'll give you 2 hours. Bring everything you need. If you work for me in the future, you will have much less time to go back to your own home. Bai Luo urged. After hearing this, Xinyu looked at Leng Yu with some embarrassment. Although she had already used puppetry to control some ministers, she couldn't just ignore the things here, right? What if something happened? What should she do? Leng Yu was relatively calm. After pulling her outside and talking to her for a while, Xinyu finally felt relieved. She had complete and unconditional trust in her sister. Since her sister said that everything had been arranged, she would listen to her sister. If there was anything, her sister would naturally bring her back to deal with it. However, in order to hide it from the people of Xiangsun, Leng Yu had spent a lot of money to buy elixirs that could hide her information and appearance in Yaozang. However, this time was urgent and there was really no way to go back and forth from Yaozang within 2 hours. After thinking carefully, she discussed with Xinyu and finally decided to prepare a mask specifically for Xinyu. Of course, this mask fits Xinyu's original skin relatively well. As long as no one touches her face carefully, or it is damaged by external forces, it should not be discovered. After the two of them had packed up, they stood in front of Bai Luo. He waved his hand and cast a sleight of hand to cover the internet cafe. He then drew a circle similar to the golden hoop next to it to ensure that no one dared to come to the internet cafe to make trouble during this period. Then he took the two sisters on the small spaceship and returned to the first internet cafe. Along the way, Xinyu kept pestering Leng Yu to ask about various things in the internet cafe before. Leng Yu did not hide it from her sister and told her everything. She explained the corresponding business model to her very clearly. Xinyu now understands it almost and is full of confidence in the future. As long as she does well here, she may become one of the first trusted confidants of the boss in Kanglang country. At that time, it should be easy to arrange a few people to come and learn. She is very confident in her qualifications and luck. She believes that, after staying in the internet cafe for a short time, she will definitely become a first-class master and lead Kanglang country to move forward. But Leng Yu forgot to remind her of the strength of Xiao too. After arriving at the internet cafe, they saw a little rabbit whose fur had become more sleek recently running around outside. Xinyu was naturally fond of this kind of furry animal. After getting off the small spaceship, she saw the chubby little rabbit running towards her, and her eyes suddenly lit up. Seeing that she liked it, Bai Luo introduced it to her. This is the puppy I adopted before, named Xiao 2, very human, and it won't bite you. After that, he picked up the little rabbit, touched its back, and turned to look at Xinyu. This is a new member of our internet cafe. It should go to the branch in the future. You two should get along well, and don't bite her. Teoti nodded, and Xinyu was very happy and quickly took the little rabbit. Leng Yu still had some questions to ask, so she followed Bai Luo in first. Unexpectedly, when Xinyu was playing with the little rabbit, she was accidentally led by it to a slightly remote place outside. She didn't know much about the forest outside, and after coming here, she just felt that the location of this internet cafe was really strange. There weren't many people living nearby, and there was a dense forest not far away. Wouldn't she be afraid of some ferocious beast suddenly rushing out of the forest in the middle of the night? However, before she could even ask the question, she heard a faint sound from the side. When she lowered her head, she suddenly found that a scorpion as big as an adult's calf had appeared less than 2 inches away from her. Read the error-free version at 69 book bar. 6 equals 9 plus book bar's first release of this novel. Xinyu screamed in fear and immediately ran up the tree. Teoti was of course not afraid of this scorpion whose toxicity was not strong at all, and even called out to her twice. Xinyu was worried that it would be bitten by the scorpion, so she hurriedly shouted, "Little rabbit, come here quickly, it's dangerous down there, don't run in." Teoti smelled the ripe smell of the food it liked to eat, so of course he would not care about her, not to mention that it had lived in this forest since it was a child and was very familiar with every plant and tree here. Completely ignoring what Xinyu was yelling at the back, the speed became faster than before. Xinyu was worried, thinking that she had just arrived at the internet cafe. If Xiao got hurt by her hands, it would be difficult to explain to the seniors. She thought about it, tapped on several big trees with her toes, rushed over and hugged Xiao and said in a reproachful tone, "Didn't I tell you not to run inside? It's so dangerous in the deep forest." Teoti couldn't help but growl again. Why should she care? Why is this woman so nosy? Where in the forest is there danger? No one in the entire internet cafe is more familiar than it. It is inevitable that it is a little angry and struggled to break free from Xinyu's arms. But Xinyu held Xiao tightly and continued to fly at a low altitude, muttering softly, "Don't yell. If you alarm other wild animals, I can't protect you." Teoti was completely angry and couldn't help but glare at her shoulder. It's all because of this woman's meddling. During the short period of stalemate, the rare treasures that had just emerged from the soil were eaten by other powerful beasts. What a pity. Chapter 78, Identity Exposed. If I'll let it eat, I can at least improve my cultivation by 20 to 30 years. This woman is really good at making trouble. Xinyu didn't expect that the little rabbit was so powerful that even the mask that had been fitted on her face was kicked off. She hurriedly covered her cheeks in panic. But at this moment, Teoti heard Bai Luo's call. There was really no way, so he could only drag Xinyu all the way back. Its speed was much faster than Xinyu, and it appeared outside the internet cafe in just a few breaths. Gao Yangchen held the snacks prepared for it in his hand, and greeted with a smile. Little rabbit, come here, the senior was calling you just now. Where did you go to play? Xinyu didn't want others to recognize her true face, so she quickly covered her face and walked to the side. Gao Yangchen was kindred and thought she had hurt her face, so he stepped forward to stop her. Miss, what's wrong with you? Did the little rabbit bite you accidentally just now? No. Teoti couldn't help but retort loudly. She was wearing a mask just now. I just kicked her off accidentally. But why do I feel that she looks a little familiar? Miss. Gao Yangchen stepped forward to stop her again. Xinayu's cultivation was not as good as Gao Yangchen's, but she caught her hand. After pulling it apart with all his strength, Gao Yangchen saw her appearance at a glance, and his face suddenly changed. He couldn't help but growl. Aren't you Xinayu from Kanglang country? Why are you here? What do you care? Get out of the way. Xinayu was also annoyed. This was in the territory of Xiangsuan country, and she also knew that the relationship between the two countries was not good, so she wanted to escape in a panic. Gao Yangchen twisted her arm tightly and shouted to Bai Luo inside. Senior, come and see, the spy from Kanglang country has sneaked in. What's wrong? Bai Luo came out and saw that Gao Yangchen's face was very ugly. Xinayu's face was red and embarrassed. He immediately understood. Len Yu, who followed him out, was shocked and scared, but this was the territory of Xiangsuan country after all. Even when she came here before, she had concealed her breath and appearance, and she didn't dare to reveal it at this time. She just looked at Xinayu with burning emotions, hoping that her sister could do better and quickly solve Gao Yangchen. How could she be so careless? She just came here and exposed her identity. Come with me. Looking at Xinayu, who was grabbed by Yangchen's arm and had an ugly face, Bai Luo waved his hand, took them to the internet cafe and sat down and looked at her. What do you say about this? That. Xinayu glanced at her sister carefully. She didn't know why she was so unlucky, but this internet cafe was really full of hidden talents. Even a dog was so powerful. She never expected that the mask would be kicked off by Zhao too. But seeing Bai Luo staring at her with a sharp gaze, not to mention the two brothers and sisters Gao Yangchen beside her, their eyes were very fierce, and they wanted to eat her alive. She was extremely embarrassed. After a long time, she whispered, I'm from Kanglang country, that's true, but I followed you all the way, because I admire your talent very much. I don't have any bad intentions. Who would believe you? Gao Yangzu glared at her angrily. When you three countries came to invade Xiangsuan country, my father said that you are not good people. Now you dare to show up. You must want to spy on us and then go back to find a way to attack us, right? We didn't think of attacking you. How could you be so shameless? Yes, I remember that when the two countries broke up before, it seemed that someone went to warn you, right? Gao Yangchen threatened in a low voice. So what? Didn't you see me do something rude to you when I came here this time? You scolded me without knowing the truth before you even figured it out. Is that your self-restraint? There's no need to be polite to someone like you. Gao Yangchen's eyes were suddenly filled with murderous intent. He didn't like anyone in Kanglang country. If possible, he really hoped that the senior would kick her back immediately and not get in the way in the internet cafe. Sister. Xinayu was finally a little scared. With her current cultivation level, she couldn't even beat Gao Yangchen, not to mention that he had a younger sister by his side. Not to mention that senior, whose strength and cultivation should be the most terrifying here. What should she do? If she was really forcibly sent back to Kanglang country, wouldn't the connection that her sister had finally established for her be broken? She is your sister? Could she be the emperor of the Kanglang kingdom? Why is she here? Gao Yangzu asked questions in rapid succession. I really underestimated you two sisters. She was even playing the victim in front of us, saying that her hometown had been in chaos due to years of war and the people were living in dire straits, and she had finally escaped. All this should have been arranged by you in advance, right? Boss, I'm not. Leng Yu saw that Bai Luo's face had turned cold, and she stepped forward anxiously, racking her brains to think of how to smooth over the topic. Bai Luo looked at her expressionlessly. I know you are her biological sister, and I recognized your true face not long after you came here. You look so similar, and you also have a little bit of the Kanglang kingdom's aura. Don't think of using the previous set of rhetoric to fool us. It's useless. Leng Yu was extremely shocked. She didn't expect that he had already seen through her true face. She lowered her head dejectedly. Now that things have come to this, what are you going to do? Senior, why did you suddenly bring her here? Have you been to Kanglang Kingdom? Gao Yangchen frowned and turned to look at Bai Luo. Read the error-free version at 69 book bar. 6 equals 9 plus BOOK_BAR published this novel for the first time. The senior doesn't seem to know much about the situation between the countries, but as a member of Xiangsuan Kingdom, he will never allow those wolfish ambitions of Kanglang Kingdom to run to the country to cause chaos. Yes, it was Leng Yu who suggested that I go there this time. She recommended a good place to me and asked me to go with her to have a look. How dare you go to a place she recommended? Gao Yangzu suddenly became anxious. Who knows what bad ideas she has behind her? Are you okay? Who can hurt me? Bai Luo raised his head with a little arrogance. Gao Yangchen suddenly thought of something and immediately said, Senior, you don't want to open a branch in Kanglang country? It should be. She took me to that place. It's probably here. As he said that, Bai Luo took out a map from his storage bag, zoomed in infinitely, and clicked on one of the locations. Gao Yangchen leaned over to take a look and his face darkened twice. It's in Kanglang country. All this must have been discussed in advance by the two sisters. Really? Bai Luo looked at Leng Yu with a deep look. Don't you think about letting me open a branch in Kanglang country on the first day you came to the internet cafe? No, boss, I never thought about it before. Leng Yu was worried that Bai Luo would get angry and kill her. Chapter 79. The First Conflict. Fearing that their deep thoughts would arouse his suspicion, Leng Yu's knees softened, and she knelt down in front of him helplessly. Master. The two followers beside Leng Yu immediately rushed forward and tried to help her up, but Leng Yu waved at them and forced them to kneel down in front of Bai Luo, begging humbly. Senior, I have never thought of damaging the interests of the internet cafe. The reason why I brought you there to open a branch is just to hope that the Kanglang kingdom will continue to become stronger. I have no ill intentions. You still dare to say that you have no ill intentions? You have already made a series of arrangements for the future on the first day you came to the internet cafe. Who knows what more powerful things you can do in the future? Who can believe you? Gao Yangzu was almost angry to death. She finally understood what it felt like to let a wolf into the house, and couldn't help but glared at Bai Luo. This is the good employee you recruited. How dare you bring him back without investigating his background? Didn't you two never tell me where you came from? Bai Luo glanced at her indifferently. Only the officials are allowed to set fires, but the people are not allowed to light lamps. Gao Yangzu was choked. Just as she was about to introduce herself, Bao Yangchen pressed her shoulders hard, shook his head, and looked at Bai Luo apologetically. Senior, we didn't mean to hide it. If you want to know, we can tell the truth. Leng Yu saw that Bai Luo seemed to be in a bad mood at the moment, and decided to drag Bao Yangchen and his sister into the water. She cleared her throat, and pretended to be puzzled and said, Boss, I know you are very powerful. All of us here together should not be your opponent. But, have you never doubted the origins of these two people? Of course I doubted it, but they didn't do anything harmful to the internet cafe, like you did before, so I didn't think about it. Of course, if they are willing to apologize and admit their mistakes in front of me, and explain everything clearly, I think I should be able to be magnanimous and forgive them. Bai Luo smiled strangely. Apart from anything else, he still trusted our Yang Chen. Although they met by accident before, he had been very cautious. After appearing in the internet cafe, he was willing to be the first to stand up and help when encountering difficulties, and he never had bad intentions. This was enough. As for our Yangzu, although she had a bad temper, she was not bad in her bones. If she was guided well, there would be no big problem. Besides, he was so much older than our Yangzu. Did he still care about these things with her? Boss, I didn't mean to hide it at that time. Len Yu saw that he seemed to be open-minded and was not angry because of the concealment of our Yang Chen and his sister. She gritted her teeth and could only play the victim. Boss may not know that we did not want to attack Xiangsuan Kingdom before. It was because the other two countries were too powerful. Compared with them, Kanglang Kingdom is almost at the bottom. I'm a woman who sits on the throne of the emperor. In fact, there have been constant internal and external troubles. I can only listen to them. Such a sudden change happened, and even Benny Minglan couldn't help but come to join in the fun. She also knew about the disputes among the four countries. At that time, the elders were still a little confused as to why Yang Chen could jump from an extremely ordinary foundation building stage to the 5th level of Jiandan in such a short time. Of course, everyone also suspected that he had encountered some adventure outside, but Benny Minglan didn't take him seriously at that time. After all, Bao Yang Chen's cultivation was not as good as hers, and it was common for disputes among the four countries. As long as there are no large-scale casualties among the people of the Holy Land will generally not interfere. But this time, it seems that it is not as easy to solve as imagined. Len Yu said it sincerely, and Xinyu also knelt down and pleaded in a low voice, "Boss, my sister has really paid a lot to protect the people of Kanglang country. Those two countries are ambitious. If my sister didn't listen to them at that time, I'm afraid Kanglang country would face a catastrophe, and my sister would have no choice." Bai Luo's eyes are still very accurate in judging people. He and Benny Minglan can see that Len Yu and her sister are not lying. But our Yang Chen has a deep hatred for Kanglang country, and he has suffered a lot at their hands over the years. If he hadn't arrived in time last time, if his father had been in trouble, he and his brothers would have fought for the throne. I don't know how much trouble they would have made. Wouldn't the people of Xiangsuan country suffer at that time? No matter what Len Yu said, he was unwilling to believe it, and his expression was very ugly. Anyway, you are here with bad intentions. If you really just want to improve your strength, I think you have been in the internet cafe for so long. It's time to leave. Yes, anyway, only one of you and your sister can stay. This is a last retreat. If you insist on staying here with your sister, don't blame us forcibly expelling you. Foreign spies with ulterior motives, like you will never be allowed to appear in Xiangsuan country. Gao Yangzu was also very angry. If it weren't for Xinyu's accidental mask being knocked off by Zhao to this time, it is unknown how long these two people would have disguised themselves under their noses. Len Yu raised her head and looked at Bai Luo with a pleading face. "Boss, can't you really give me a chance? Read the error-free version at 69 book bar. 6 equals 9 plus book underscore bar released this novel. Okay, get up first. If you keep kneeling, others will think I'm abusing you." Bai Luo raised his hand and forcibly supported the knees of the four of them. After letting them stand up, he called them to the side. "Tell me more about the opening of a branch in Kanglang country. I don't know much about the situation there," Bai Luo asked. Len Yu and her sister exchanged glances, with great surprise in their eyes. Could it be that the boss was not angry about the things they had concealed before, and was willing to open a branch of the internet cafe in Kanglang country? If so, this person's mind is really admirable. Len Yu didn't have time to think again and hurried to his side to carefully explain the follow-up arrangements. Bai Luo was optimistic about the prospects of Kanglang country, and with the two sisters helping him behind, he should not have to worry about the source of customers. There are people who are not short of money in every country. When the time comes, the two of them will be used as publicity to spread the reputation of the internet cafe. I'm afraid that the business will be better than here. Thinking of this, he couldn't help but feel a little moved. After talking for more than half an hour, Bai Luo had almost decided to keep the internet cafe in Kanglang country and choose a suitable time to open it to the public with the help of the two sisters. However, after Yang Chen learned that he planned to open a branch of the internet cafe in Kanglang country that night, he had a huge conflict with him for the first time. Chapter 80, Sincere Repentance. Senior, I have always respected your character, but you knew the true identities of the two sisters. Why did you open an internet cafe branch there? Do you not trust the people of our Xiangsuan country? How do I not trust you? Bai Luo looked at him very strangely. If I didn't trust you, I would have opened internet cafe branches in other countries long ago, so why did I let you take advantage of me for so long? He believed that branches could be opened anywhere, as long as they could make money. Besides, Leng Yu and his men had been forced to attack Xiangsuan country together with the other two countries. People have already explained it clearly. Why is he, a grown man, so petty? Bai Luo looked at him deeply. You are already an adult, and you should be more open-minded. What's more, even if they invaded you before, weren't the losses afterwards very heavy? Now your father is safe and sound. Why do you care so much? But in the future Kanglang country will become more and more powerful, and it is inevitable that they will attack us again. Yang Chen defended anxiously. Haven't you been staying in the internet cafe all the time? And you came earlier than them. Don't you have so little confidence in yourself that you don't believe that your progress will be more obvious than this? Bai Luo shook his head. In fact, among these few people, I'm still very optimistic about you. Senior, I only have one last question for you. Yang Chen took a deep breath and couldn't help but look at him with his fist clenched. Senior, have you decided to open an internet cafe branch in Kanglang country? Yes, I have already chosen the place. What Bai Luo didn't tell him was that with the help of the system, everything had been arranged long ago. It was just waiting for the staff to be deployed and then choosing a good day to open and welcome customers. Yang Chen waved his hand vigorously. No, can't open it in their place. Internet cafe is my industry. I'm free to open it wherever I want. Bai Luo was also a little annoyed. What's wrong with this Yang Chen? Only their Xiangsuan country is allowed to dominate, and other countries are not allowed to make progress? What kind of excuse is this? He opened the internet cafe here at that time, not because he wanted to, but because it was the place selected by the system. Why did our Yang Chen become more and more greedy? Anyway, if you insist on opening a branch of the internet cafe there, I can't stay here. Goodbye. Yang Chen was very angry. He felt that he had explained all the interests to the senior. Since the senior was willing to open the first internet cafe in Xiangsuan country, it meant that he still had feelings for this place. But if Bai Luo knew what he was thinking, he would probably just shake his head helplessly. He was really overthinking. He didn't even have the right to decide the address of the first internet cafe. Besides, he came from another world, so how could he have any feelings for Xiangsuan country? Yang Chen was really overthinking. Yang Zhu just found out that the two of them were arguing, but she didn't dare to get close to them. Their cultivation was much higher than hers, and with the barrier blocking them, she couldn't hear clearly what they were arguing about. But seeing Yang Chen running out angrily, she was extremely worried and rushed forward to ask, "What did you and my brother quarrel about? Isn't it about opening a branch of the internet cafe? Ask your brother to be more generous. He is not a child anymore. Why do you quarrel with me over these things?" Bai Luo said unhappily and turned away. He did not think of bowing his head. The two sides had different positions. Naturally, he could not understand why Yang Chen had such a deep hatred for the Kanglang kingdom. Yang Zhu was worried. After all, if it was not for her elder brother to make a connection, she would not be able to appear in the internet cafe. Father had told them before that they must maintain a good relationship with Bai Luo. She was worried that the bond between them was broken, so she hurriedly chased after him. But she did not have a good impression of the Kanglang kingdom, so she naturally stood on the side of Yang Chen. Seeing that the brother and sister had run away, he called Leng Yu over and looked at her directly. The grievances between your two countries are not as simple as the last time. If you want me to trust you, you'd better tell me clearly about the hostility between your two countries over the years. Boss, are you really willing to give me a chance? Leng Yu was extremely surprised, and her eyes were red with excitement. That depends on whether you tell the truth. I say, I can tell you everything. Leng Yu cleared her throat, and began to tell a long and stinky story. The grievances between Xiangsuan country and Kanglang country have a long history. Various frictions of varying sizes have occurred hundreds of years ago. She talked for more than an hour. Read the error-free version at 69 book bar. 6 equals 9 plus BOOK_BAR released this novel for the first time. Bai Luo couldn't help shaking his head and sighing. It's really hard for you to control the Kanglang country. But if you really repent, I can give you a chance. Through this period of contact, his impression of Leng Yu has also changed. At least before the interests of her country are not affected, she is still very honest. After staying in the internet cafe for so long, Leng Yu's thoughts and emotions have also changed a lot. If Xiling country and Yan country had not asked her to express her position before, she would not have been willing to suddenly launch an attack on Xiangsuan country at that time. After all, Xiangsuan country is not weak. She has been in the internet cafe for so long, and she has also seen how important it is to be strong. Apart from other things, relying on Bai Luo alone, it is estimated that all the masters of the entire Kanglang country, including the Jindan and below, can be dealt with. If he stands on the side of Xiangsuan country and directly confronts them, their losses will only be extremely heavy. Now she has also made up her mind and is willing to live a stable life. Before she has reached a strong military force, she will not cause trouble for herself. Bai Luo looked at Leng Yu for a long time and saw that she was in a very stable mood and her eyes were clear, and she didn't look like she was thinking of something bad. He suddenly said, if you don't make things difficult for the people of other countries in the future, and you can govern the country well, and be a wise ruler, I can give the branch to you and your sister to run. You have been learning from me for a long time, and you understand the relevant operation mode, right? Boss, what do you mean? Leng Yu was so excited that she almost cried. She never expected that there would be a day when things would turn around. Anyway, I opened an online store to make money. If you can operate it reasonably and be honest and trustworthy, I can trust you. And I don't know much about Kanglang country, but you two are the rulers of a country there. I'm actually quite relieved to leave it to you. Bai Luo said lightly. Leng Yu never thought that he would be so generous and bowed deeply in front of him. As long as the boss can open a branch in Kanglang country and help our people become stronger and stronger, I will promise you that I will never take the initiative to start a war. I just want the people to live a stable and happy life, and I don't have too much ambition. Chapter 81, Leaving an Angry. It's great that you can think this way. I heard that your Kanglang country covers a large area, and there is a large ocean behind it. It is not impossible to live in peace with other countries in the future. Why do you need to start a war to expand your territory? Those unowned forests, deserts, oceans and so on, can't they all become your territory? Bai Luo gave her a friendly advice. Leng Yu nodded repeatedly, but she had never thought of expanding her territory to those places before. After all, the more unknown the land is, the more dangerous it is. She didn't dare to have such an idea before, but now that she is in the internet cafe and her strength has improved significantly, she will inevitably think about leading the people to explore places that they dared not touch before after their comprehensive strength becomes stronger and stronger. Okay, I've almost finished talking about things. During this time, you should find a way to train your sister as quickly as possible. Later, I may recruit a few more people here to take charge of daily operations. After you train her, it will be much easier for you to return to Kanglang country. Leng Yu nodded repeatedly. She really didn't know how to repay him for such a great kindness. She turned her head to look at Xinyu and found that her sister also looked dazed. After thinking about it, she suddenly said boldly, "Boss, my sister is actually very smart, but she has a little temper. If you don't mind, I can keep Xinyu by your side and let her take care of you." Xinyu can understand many things at once. "Sister?" Xinyu turned her head, her eyes widened. But Leng Yu just blinked at her, and she understood it instantly. Looking at Bai Luo shyly, "Boss, sister is right. I'm willing to stay by your side and take care of you. Boss, if you need anything in the future, just tell me. I'm willing to do it." Like Leng Yu, she will only submit to the strong all her life. Although she had not been in contact with Bai Luo for a long time, she knew that he was indeed very powerful and had such a broad mind. She would not mind if there were other women around her in the future. It would be enough as long as she could help improve her strength. Her thoughts were simple. That's not necessary. Bai Luo smiled awkwardly, noticing Leng Yu's thoughts. There are a few people in the internet cafe now, which is enough. I can personally train the subsequent employees. Okay, take your sister to familiarize herself with the specific affairs of the internet cafe and let her learn as soon as possible. Xinyu looked at him frustratedly and carefully approached Leng Yu and said, "Sister, does the boss think I'm too young and doesn't want to pay attention to me? It shouldn't be. In Kanglang country, you are actually old enough to get married." Leng Yu found it a little incredible. Her sister has taken off the mask now. After all, she is one of the most beautiful women. Could it be that the boss is really not tempted at all? It's really intriguing. But seeing that he was busy at the moment, she was too embarrassed to disturb him, so she could only whisper, "Come over quickly, I'll teach you some basics first. The boss doesn't like to be disturbed when he's busy, so you can talk to him later. Maybe there will be a chance." Xinyu nodded repeatedly. She trusted her sister very much, knowing that they could organize all the big and small things in the internet cafe in Kanglang country in the future. She was full of confidence in the future and soon put the anxiety behind her head. After staying in the internet cafe, she had been trying to show her courtesy to Bai Luo, but Bai Luo was always indifferent to her. After she arrived at the internet cafe, Bai Luo gave Xinyu the same clothes as Yangzu and the others before. After the previous maid outfits were worn by the system, he didn't use them again. He chose clothes that were more in line with this world, but they were very plain and simple. In Xinyu's eyes, they were almost the same as those of little girls. The clothes in Kanglang country were a little bolder, and women who were already 15 years old could wear clothes that showed off their figures. She took a look at the dress, that was very well protected from head to toe, and even a little childish, and whispered to Leng Yu, "Sister, does the boss treat me as a little girl? Does he think I'm too young and doesn't want to pay attention to me? I don't know." Leng Yu shook her head. Before she came, she had never thought of starting with Bai Luo's strategy, so naturally she didn't know what his aesthetic taste was like. Looking at her sister's frustrated face, she could only comfort her first. "It's okay, take care of the work first. The boss will definitely see you're good. Take your time, don't rush." "Okay," she could only nod. No one knows what the boss's preferences are, so it's better not to make him angry for the time being. But Yang Chen was really angry this time, and he never thought of coming back after leaving. Yangzu was worried about him and followed him all the time and unknowingly arrived at the core of the Imperial City. Yangzu grabbed his arm and panted, "Brother, are you really going back to the palace? Aren't you going back to watch over Bai Luo? Where is there room for both of us in the internet cafe now?" Yang Chen couldn't help but sneered. Read the error-free version at 69 book bar. 6 = 9 plus BOOK_BAR''S first novel. Leng Yu brought her sister with her this time. Now there is only one man in the internet cafe, Yu. Do you think they will recruit more young and beautiful women from the Kanglang country? That's impossible. Yangzu widened her eyes in anger. He dares. What's there to be afraid of? The senior has profound skills, looks very young, and has a handsome appearance. With a killer like Wang Bei, there are many women who want to pounce on him. If we two leave, won't it give them a chance? Then let's go back. It was obviously you who was involved with the internet cafe first. How can you give such an opportunity to others? Yangzu was furious. My brother used to be very calm and composed. Why did he become a little impatient this time? Anyway, I have to go back to the palace first and tell my father what's going on here. I absolutely cannot tolerate staying in the same place with the people of Kanglang country, no matter how attractive the internet cafe is to me. Maybe this time I can ask my father to help. As he said that, Yang Chen jumped on his shuttle and hurried to the palace. Yangzu could only take out the flying magic weapon and follow behind. The two of them did not come back for 2 or 3 consecutive days. The internet cafe suddenly lost 2 people, and Bai Luo became flustered. Gao Yangchen knew most of the things in the internet cafe very well, and before they were there, he only needed to be responsible for starting up the computer and cashing out. But now they left suddenly. Xinayu didn't know much about the internet cafe and almost had to rely on Leng Gayu to lead her hand in hand. Betty Minglan was also a person with a very bad temper. If he met a slightly rude customer, he would beat him up. He also had to pay attention to the customer's emotions at all times. He was restless and a little annoyed. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 82, Personal Appearance. After a day of operation, he was so tired that he didn't even want to move a finger. When it was time for dinner, Leng Yu and 2 followers volunteered to prepare dinner. Even though Bai Luo's cultivation was not low, it was still tiring to deal with so many new customers who knew nothing about internet cafe games. He had to spend most of his energy to teach them how to play. If they encountered any trivial matters, they still had to find him. Gao Yangchen had already known the internet cafe very well before and was very familiar with all the relatively low-level games, so he could just watch over it. He had enough patience and could save almost half of the work. Although Yangzu also had a temper like a big lady, after seeing the benefits of the internet cafe to her, at least she was very serious and responsible during work time. With Yangchen watching here, no one dared to bully his sister without eyes, and the cooperation of the two would save Bai Luo a lot of worries. But now that both of them have left, most of the things will be on his head, which is inevitable. At the dinner table, several people didn't even dare to breathe. Everyone could tell that he was in a bad mood, so they didn't dare to make him angry. But when they remembered that the two of them hadn't come back yet, they were still a little worried. Among them, only Betty Minglan was the bravest. After eating a mouthful of the spiritual energy-rich dish, she suddenly said, "They probably both have feelings for Leng Yu. Are they still thinking that Leng Yu and her sister will stay here for a day and won't come back? They really have a bad temper. Then what should we do? Do I have to go and ask them to come back in person? Don't I, as a boss, have any face?" Bai Luo couldn't help but complain. Leng Yu put down her chopsticks awkwardly and suddenly said, "If the brother and sister really don't want to go back to the internet cafe because of my existence, I'm willing to go and ask them to come back in person. No matter what they ask, I'm willing to agree to it. What do you think, boss?" She also saw that everyone was very busy today. Xinayu was very unfamiliar with everything in the internet cafe, and she needed her to guide her step by step, so it was inevitable that she didn't have the time to take care of other customers. Not to mention Betty Minglan, who always had a stern face, and customers didn't even dare to call her. The boss had to work alone, which was really hard. If you are not afraid of hardship, go and have a look. If you can persuade them to come back, it will naturally be your first contribution. Although I said that I would recruit some people here for training, it will take some time. Bai Luo had a headache. Moreover, not everyone can master the gamma play of various games as quickly as Yangchen and his friends. Even some people with low strength probably can't even understand such a magical existence as an internet cafe, and it would be strange if they can adapt to work. Leng Yu readily agreed. In order to help the entire Kanglang country's national strength to be greatly improved, the previous branch must be officially opened for business. She thought about it and decided to take only one follower with her, and the other one stayed in the internet cafe with Xinayu to continue learning more profound things. Seeing that she had decided, Bai Luo also specially sent her some things and prepared some snacks that Yangzu usually liked to eat and asked her to take them with her. But Leng Yu had been gone for less than 3 hours when he felt a little uneasy. At night, when everyone was having dinner together, he hesitated for a moment and said to Xinayu, "I'm worried, so I decided to go and have a look myself. Let's do this. The internet cafe will be temporarily closed for a while. Recently, you should follow the notes I gave you and study hard to find out what you need to pay attention to. If you don't understand something, write it down, and I will teach you when I come back." "Boss, are we not opening for business? That means we will make less money." Zinayu was a little reluctant. Don't worry, we will make back the money when the branch opens. I will pack up and leave later. You should study hard. You don't know much about internet cafes yet. If we continue to operate, you may not be able to handle it alone. That's it. Seeing her firm attitude, Zinayu could only agree. Bai Luo ate his meal, packed up his things a little, and then set off. But what he didn't know was that Bai Minglan was also following him quietly. She hadn't been to the Xiangsuan Kingdom Palace for a while and didn't know what the situation was there. It just so happened that Bai Luo was going there this time, so she followed him to see what the relationship between the four countries was like when their holy land didn't notice it. Zinayu looked at the internet cafe becoming empty in an instant, and she felt bad. However, under Lang Yu's teaching, she had grown a lot and soon calmed down and looked carefully at the things Bai Luo left for her with her entourage. Bai Luo sped up all the way to the center of the Imperial City. He probably knew where Yang Chen and the others came from, so it wasn't a big deal to find them. But that night, when Zinayu was about to rest, she suddenly received a secret letter from the Kanglang Kingdom. Read the error-free version at 69 book bar. 6 equals 9 plus BOOK_BAR released this novel for the first time. She unfolded the letter, and her face became very solemn after reading it. She didn't expect that she and her sister had only been out for a short while, and something happened in the Kanglang Kingdom. Remembering what the boss told her, the internet cafe could be temporarily closed during this period, she hesitated. My sister has gone to find Yang Chen and the others now, and I don't know when she will be back, but I can't ignore the affairs of Kanglang country. She thought for a moment, and could only leave a letter in the internet cafe. After explaining the reasons for her departure, she opened the internet cafe's defense array as Bai Luo said and left quickly. But after Bai Luo arrived at the Imperial City, he found out where Yang Chen and the others came from through some inquiries. When they stood in front of the palace, the guards did not let them in, and their attitude was quite arrogant. Do you ordinary people like you want to see His Royal Highness the Crown Prince? His Royal Highness is busy now and will not see you. I'm the owner of the internet cafe where he used to work. Go in and tell him a message, and he will definitely see me. Bai Luo felt a little unhappy. After thinking about it, he used bribery for the first time in his life. He endured the pain and took out 2 medium-grade spirit stones and put them in the hands of the guard, saying politely, "You just need to help me pass on a message. If your Royal Highness the Crown Prince knows that I'm here, he will be very happy. Maybe he will give you a generous reward." How long will it take to pass on a message? After checking the quality of the spirit stone, the guard was quite satisfied and nodded. Then you wait, I will pass on the message. He waited in front of the palace gate with peace of mind. He originally thought that someone would come in a while, but after receiving the message from inside the palace, the guard looked at him regretfully. The Highness has sent a message saying that he doesn't want to see you. You should go back first. The sun is so strong at noon. Don't faint in front of the door. This pretty boy looked unfamiliar. He didn't look like someone who could guide His Royal Highness the Crown Prince. Could he be lying? Chapter 83, First Round of Confrontation. How could it be? He actually doesn't want to see me? He can still remember such a trivial matter. How can he be so petty? Bai Luo was a little unhappy. At this time, Yang Chen in the palace received the message from the guard at the door. His face was stiff, and he directly asked someone to reject Bai Luo's request. Yang fuming happened to come down from the court and saw that he looked very unhappy. He asked someone and learned that Bai Luo was waiting at the door. He couldn't help but pat Yang Chen on the head. What's the matter? How can you be so old and lose your temper with your senior? Do you know that after the internet cafe became famous, besides us, there are many people staring at him behind his back? Everyone wants to get the right to operate the internet cafe. How can such a great opportunity be passed on to others? It must be said that he is still quite wise. If Xiangsuan country wants to develop better and better in the future, the trial opportunity of the internet cafe must not be missed. He ignored Yang Chen's sullen face and said to the guard leader who was accompanying him, "Go quickly and personally invite the senior Bai Luo outside the palace inn. Tell him that the prince is ignorant and we can discuss it slowly." Yes, the leader agreed straightforwardly and appeared at the gate of the palace in a blink of an eye. After comparing the appearance of the senior Bai Luo with what the emperor had just told him, he stepped forward and said respectfully, "Excuse me, are you senior Bai Luo?" Yes. Bai Luo turned his head and took a look. Seeing that the other party was wearing iron grey armor and had a hard face, he knew at a glance that he was a military officer of a high rank. He took the initiative to ask, "Is our Yang Chen willing to see me?" His Majesty said that His Royal Highness the Crown Prince had important matters on his hands, so he didn't come to see the senior. It's really His Majesty's fault. His Majesty asked me to come and greet him personally. "Senior, please come this way." The commander's strength should not be underestimated, but when he appeared next to the senior Bai Luo, he could not feel the blood or even spiritual power fluctuations on the other party at all. At first, he was a little confused, thinking that the other party was just an ordinary person. However, when he took 2 steps closer to him, he felt an invisible pressure seeping out from his body, and then he realized that he had underestimated the enemy. That's right, His Majesty treated him so politely as soon as he heard about it. How could he be a small figure? "Excuse me, lead the way." What Bai Luo didn't know was that Leng Yu had already arrived at the palace before she came. Although she offered up her identity as the Emperor of the Kanglang Kingdom, Bao Yang fuming couldn't kick her out, but he never had a good face for her. After Leng Yu came, she was placed in the most remote palace in the palace to receive foreign envoys. Bai Luo followed the commander inside, while observing the movements on both sides. When his spiritual sense detected several hundred meters away and successfully connected with Leng Yu, the faces of the followers around Leng Yu were still very ugly. The appearance of this palace looks magnificent, but when you walk in, you will find that there are still some spider webs inside, and the dust on the ground and various ornaments can be seen at a glance that it has not been cleaned for many years. The attendant said angrily, "Your Majesty, they are too negligent. You came here in person and they arranged for you to live in such a place? I will go and argue with them." "Okay, don't be so impulsive." Leng Yu held her arm. "I'm in the wrong for coming here this time, and even for the future of Kanglang country, I will definitely ask for their forgiveness. Otherwise, if the boss is unwilling to open a branch in Kanglang country, all our previous efforts will be in vain." Just as she was discussing with her attendant, she suddenly felt a familiar breath enveloping her. She suddenly brightened up and found that it was Bai Luo who was communicating with her through spiritual consciousness. She was ecstatic and quickly concentrated and calmed down to convey her location to him. After Bai Luo received it, he urged, "Come over first according to the direction I gave you. We have to find our Yang Chen and make things clear. I'll be there." Knowing that Bai Luo was coming, Leng Yu was immediately full of confidence and quickly asked the attendant to help her wash up. The furnishings in the palace were quite complete. There were all kinds of tools in the washroom next to it, and the bathtub was also very large. However, no servants were willing to help at this moment, and everything was dusty. Fortunately, she was away from home, and most of the things were ready. She took out a water gathering talisman and absorbed a lot of moisture in the air. After asking the attendant to clean the bathtub, she quickly heated the water and dressed up in front of the mirror. Then, she rushed all the way to the place Bai Luo had just pointed out to her. Gao Yang Chen was still angry, and even Yang Zhu was not happy to see Bai Luo. The brother and sister hid in the house and did not even come out to meet him. Bai Luo was very fast. After contacting Leng Yu, he urged the commander to move forward. It didn't take long for him to appear outside the palace, where Yang fuming was. He looked around and couldn't help but praise, "This is my first time to come to the palace of Xiangsuan Kingdom. I didn't expect it to be so magnificent. It is indeed a prosperous country." Read the error-free version at 69 book bar. 6 = 9 +_. "Senior, you are too kind." The commander seemed a little embarrassed. The emperor is strict in governing the country and is a wise ruler. However, Xiangsuan country has also experienced wars before, otherwise it would definitely be richer than it is now. It is already good to have such a scale. After all, there are many countries on this continent. Your emperor has done a good job. He just explored it from a distance and knew the true identity of Yang Chen and others. He was very calm about it. After all, He had doubts about their identities at that time. They were so generous and had so many brothers. It was obvious that they came from a large family with flourishing branches and leaves. Even if they were born in the royal family, he thought it was normal. After he appeared in the palace, Daoist fuming immediately came forward to greet him. However, in order to have the initiative when talking to Chen later, Bai Luo pretended to be amazed and looked at the layout of the palace, and suddenly laughed. Your Majesty, you hid it so well before. You didn't even tell me that you are the Emperor of Xiangsuan Kingdom. I'm so sorry, so sorry. What are you talking about, senior? You really embarrass me. Gao fuming was quite polite. With a wave of his hand, he immediately asked the maid outside to bring the most precious top-grade Lingwu tea and asked him to sit on his left. Then, he said embarrassedly, when you go out, there are always some troubles. I had to hide my identity before. I hope that senior will not make a fuss about it, because I didn't mean it. I thought so too, but your country's crown prince has a bad temper. He made such a fuss because of a small matter. I have to personally come forward to invite him back. If something happens in the internet cafe in the future, won't I have to kowtow in front of him? Bai Luo was in a bad mood at the moment, and his words were also sarcastic. Chapter 84. First courtesy, then force. However, there were only 2 walls between them. In a large and magnificent room, Daoist Chen pretended to be meditating and practicing, but in fact, he had already pricked up his ears and quietly listened to the noise outside. Gao fuming sighed and pretended to be indignant. Senior, you don't know that I have already figured out the matter after Chena came back. But senior, the hatred between us and the Kanglang Kingdom cannot be explained in a few words. It was indeed his fault that Chena came back this time. I have already taught him a lesson. But it is impossible to make peace with the Kanglang Kingdom so easily. Leng Yu's speed was quite fast. He didn't spend much effort to avoid the guards in the Xiangsuan Kingdom Palace and appeared in front of the palace with his entourage. The commander wanted to stop him, but after Bai Luo heard the noise, he just flicked his sleeves lightly and the commander's face changed immediately. He felt a huge push pressing on him and couldn't help but step back several steps to the side, just making room for Leng Yu and the others. She straightened her clothes, walked in, and nodded politely to Bai Luo. Senior, long time no see. Then, she looked at Aoyang fuming. I hope you are well, Emperor Aoyang. You still dare to come? Aoyang fuming frowned and shouted, seeming to realize that his tone was very impolite, and temporarily restrained himself, trying to suppress his anger and said, haven't I arranged a place for you to live? Why don't you take a rest and come back after you have recovered your energy? If you stay in there for too long, I'm afraid you will forget why I came here this time. Leng Yu questioned. Okay, everyone is in. Call Aoyang Chen and the others out. If they don't listen, I can only force them out. Bai Luo's fingers rhythmically tapped the golden dragon decoration on the handrail, and he was a little impatient. In his eyes, Aoyang Chen was a person he trusted before. Although he was not very old, he was very methodical and reasonable. Why did he have to hold on to Leng Yu's matter this time? Aoyang fuming was about to say a few more words and suppress Leng Yu, but Bai Luo was already impatient. He stretched out his right hand and snapped his fingers lightly, and a cluster of blue flames appeared in front of him. In the blink of an eye, it grew in the wind and suddenly became a fire circle that was 3 or 4 meters large. Aoyang fuming was startled by his action and asked repeatedly, what does this mean, senior? Since Aoyang Chen doesn't give me face, I can only take the initiative to ask him to come out. He has a bad temper. With Aoyang fuming's cultivation, of course he couldn't stop Bai Luo. Moreover, this fire can quickly pass through any place with air circulation and wind. Before he could come to his senses, the blue flame swooshed into the house under the guidance of Bai Luo's mind. Aoyang Chen subconsciously wanted to resist, but the flames were like a string of iron chains, tightly binding him and dragging him in front of Bai Luo and the others. Aoyang fuming's face almost turned green, and his expression changed drastically. What do you want to do, senior? Isn't it obvious? I want them to talk things out. If you don't want to work in my internet cafe anymore, don't have anything to do with me in the future. I will move the internet cafe to another place in the future, not the previous one. Bai Luo said casually. This is undoubtedly the most serious threat to our Yang fuming. It's not easy to get in touch with the internet cafe through his 2 children. In the future, he can arrange more people to go there for trials to enhance his strength. It must not be destroyed like this. He took a deep breath, winked at Yang Chen, walked over and held his shoulder. If you have anything to say, talk to the senior. The king of Kanglang country has already arrived. We can't drive him away. We still have to be polite. Father. Yang Chen's face was full of displeasure. Leng Yu knew that Bai Luo came to help her this time, and she was grateful. She calmed down, walked over and bowed her head in front of Yang Chen. It was indeed my fault for what I did before. I concealed my identity and stayed in the internet cafe, and even brought my sister with me later. In fact, it was just to improve our cultivation and help the Kanglang kingdom, but I didn't think of targeting you. What about before? Didn't you arrange so many people to deal with my father? Don't tell me that you did it out of helplessness because the other 2 countries coerced you. With the strength of your Kanglang kingdom, if you really make up your mind to tear your face with them, there won't be much problem, right? Yang Zhu asked angrily and couldn't help but glared at Bai Luo fiercely. What's going on? Is he determined to stand up for Leng Yu? Could he be confused by this woman? Although Bai Luo knew that the internet cafe played a huge role for these people, he didn't think that their strength became stronger at first. In addition to playing games every day, it was also related to the various foods in the internet cafe. Even though the air there was much better than outside, if it wasn't for the grievances between the 2 countries, Yang Chen would never want to tear his face with him. However, this was a matter between the 2 countries, and he couldn't take the initiative to mediate. After catching Yang Chen and his sister, he sat quietly beside them, wanting to see how they would deal with it. Read the error-free version at 69 book bar. 6 equals 9 plus book bar's first release of this novel. You are not in my position, so you don't know how much trouble we have. Although the strength of Kanglang country is not the weakest among the 4 countries, it is definitely not as important as the weight of Yan country and Xiling country combined. I'm the leader of a country, and I must protect the people. They threatened me with the lives of the people, and I had no other way. Leng Yu apologized sincerely and explained everything that happened at that time very clearly. But Yang Chen and the others didn't believe it, and they still looked cold and indifferent. Even Yang fuming made a wild statement, claiming that he would put Leng Yu under house arrest in Xiangsuan country, forcing Kanglang country to take out more things to exchange her back. Seeing that they were not moved by her threats, Leng Yu was a little annoyed. Just when she was about to say that Kanglang country still had her and the ministers they had arranged, they would never let them manipulate them so easily, there was a strange wave in the air. Bai Minglan, who was following quietly behind, couldn't stand their bickering like children anymore. With a shake of his body, a white figure appeared in front of everyone. Who are you? She was wearing a veil, and Yang fuming didn't recognize her at first. She raised her hand, the veil was lifted, and a pure golden token in her hand was almost pushed against Yang fuming's face. He took a closer look and recognized that it was a token from the Holy Land. After seeing the seal in the corner clearly, he finally put away his arrogant expression and looked at her politely. I wonder what the Holy Lady is doing visiting Xiangsuan country. Chapter 85, Self-injury of 800. Of course it's to resolve the troubles between the 2 of you. Also, she has made it clear enough that she just wanted to protect the people, and she didn't do anything that would be difficult to resolve. Besides, didn't Yang Chen and the others rush back in time to save you? I think people should at least be grateful, right? Bai Minglan's voice was cold, and there was no expression on his face. What do you mean? Yang Zhu couldn't help it and jumped out to refute. It was the 3 countries that broke their promise and arranged several masters to attack my father first. Can't we all resist and protect ourselves? I didn't say no. Bai Minglan gave her a cold look. Yang Zhu's cultivation was the lowest among the few people. She couldn't bear Bai Minglan's pressure at all and couldn't help but take 2 steps back. Yang fuming awkwardly protected her behind his back. Xiaoxu has been spoiled by us and doesn't understand these things. Please don't argue with her, Saint. Since you don't have the ability, then don't jump out, lest you be laughed at. This time, I don't know if I'm qualified to stand in the middle and help you deal with it. Of course, if you don't want to, I will go back and report. If Xiangsuan Kingdom encounters any problems in the future, don't ask the Holy Land for help. We are not completely helpless and can help at any time. Hearing her words, she must be a little unhappy. Gao Yang fuming took a deep breath and could only transfer the pressure to Leng Yu. What do you say? It was indeed my fault before. If Xiangsuan Kingdom wants some compensation, I'm willing to accept it. But I have never thought of taking the initiative to attack you. Please believe me. Leng Yu was very sincere. She is the ruler of a country after all. She will not lie in front of so many of us today. How about this? For the sake of stability in the two countries, I can also report this matter to the Holy Land, and I will give you some benefits in the future. Betty Minglan stepped forward to smooth things over. But seeing that both of them stood on Leng Yu's side and spoke for her, Bao Yang Chen suspected that Leng Yu had used her charm to make them do this and secretly contacted other princes. In a blink of an eye, more than a dozen princes poured into the palace. Bai Luo couldn't help but feel a headache and sneered. Are you relying on your numbers to bully us? Senior, you are joking. We came here this time just to make things clear, not to embarrass you. The fifth prince was quick-witted and stood up immediately. The conflict and dispute between us and the Kanglang Kingdom cannot be explained away in a few words. If you believe it, senior, why don't we have a good discussion with the Emperor of the Kanglang Kingdom? Please don't get involved in this matter, senior and the saint. What do you mean by this? Did I come all the way here just to sit on the bench? After all, Leng Gai, who is now an employee of my internet cafe, she has always been very well behaved in my place. How come she has become an unforgivable sinner in your eyes? Senior, you are wrong. The seventh prince also stepped forward, pretending to be very respectful. How powerful is your internet cafe? Those who have participated in the trial game there know that Leng Yu is the emperor of Kanglang country after all, so she is naturally well informed. Could it be that you have never thought about why she came here this time? A master like you is willing to take the initiative to stand up for her. What does this mean? Yes, we never thought of attacking her before. They attacked our father first. The words of these princes revealed that they would never let Leng Yu and Kanglang country go so easily. The reason why they have not taken action until now is because of Bai Luo's face. In other words, once he and Betty Minglan leave first, who knows what kind of torture Leng Yu will suffer in Xiangsuan country. Bai Luo was speechless at their nonsense. His face turned ugly. She is a woman. Why do you have to embarrass her like this? Besides, she has already made her attitude clear and is willing to give enough compensation. You should not be too greedy. Senior, you said that as if you have a very good relationship with her. Yes, it was obviously the crown prince who knew you first. Even if you choose to believe, you should stand on the side of the crown prince, right? Those princes said one after another, almost criticizing Leng Yu. Bai Luo really couldn't stand it, and just when he was about to lose his temper, Leng Yu suddenly stood up. Just now, Bai Luo and the saint both spoke for her, and she felt very comforted. She thought about it carefully, and suddenly said boldly, it is true that I was forced to launch the attack on Xiangsuan Kingdom before, but I did arrange people to participate in it. It was indeed my fault. If Xiangsuan Kingdom is willing to forgive me, I'm willing to give up my martial arts and guarantee that I will not pose a threat to you in the future. I only hope that both sides can turn hostility into friendship and stop letting innocent people suffer from war. What do you mean by this? If it gets out, others will think that we are bullying you on purpose because of our large numbers. Gao Yangzu couldn't help but yell. Isn't that what you mean? So many people came suddenly, but Leng Yu was followed by an entourage. If it weren't for Betty Minglan and I being here, what do you want? Even if we kill her, we probably can't save her again. What's the point of a dead person? Bai Luo said coldly. Read the error-free version at 69 book bar. 6 equals 9 plus book bar released this novel for the first time. Isn't this a typical example of the state officials being allowed to set fires, but the people not being allowed to light lamps? If he hadn't seen it with his own eyes, he couldn't even imagine that the royal family of Xiangsuan country was so shameless. You're still speaking for her? Gao Yangzu was furious and was about to step forward to argue with him, but Leng Yu couldn't help frowning because she felt uncomfortable. She always felt that her stomach was churning, but in order to seize the time along the way, she only ate the Bigu pill and drank some water, and nothing else worked. What's going on? After Yangzu's medical blood was awakened unintentionally, her medical skills had made obvious progress unknowingly. Hearing Leng Yu's nausea and seeing her covering her chest with one hand, she seemed to be very uncomfortable. He stopped first, looked up and down, and suddenly changed his face. I know everyone doesn't want to believe me. Leng Yu forced himself to suppress the uncomfortable feeling in his heart, raised his hand, and approached his temple. I'm willing to abolish my martial arts in front of you, and I hope that you will not embarrass the people of Kanglang country and my sister in the future. As he said, he wanted to take action. Gao Yangzu was terrified. Although she was a bit willful and capricious, she didn't want to hurt innocent people. Leng Yu already had a child. If blood was really spilled on the spot, it would be a serious crime. Chapter 86. There is something fishy about the letter. She rushed forward and grabbed Leng Yu's arm, felt the sliding under her wrist, and suddenly said, "What's wrong with the baby in your belly? If you give up your martial arts, you will definitely not be able to keep the baby." She could see that the baby in Leng Yu's belly was still young and needed the mother's protection. If all the martial arts in Leng Yu's body were exhausted, the child would definitely not survive without the mother's nutrition. She felt very sour in her heart and couldn't help staring at Bai Luo. Is this the reason why you insisted on coming with her and even confronted us face to face? She was very unhappy. It had only been a short time, and Leng Yu already had a child. Did something happen between the two of them under their noses before? What does this have to do with me? Is she feeling uncomfortable? As a straight man, Bai Luo had no idea what a pregnant woman would look like. He only noticed that Leng Yu looked pale and suddenly said to Yangzu, "Didn't you say that your medical skills have improved? Why don't you take a look at her? After all, she is the master of the Kanglang kingdom. If something happens, it won't do you much good if the two sides quarrel." Some of the princes already had concubines, and some women had been pregnant before. Although none of the children were born successfully, they still had some understanding of these. The fifth prince muttered in a low voice, "Could she be pregnant? What's going on with this child?" As soon as he finished speaking, everyone else's eyes immediately fell on Bai Luo. Many people knew about his previous reputation as a sex maniac saint, and Leng Yu was also young and beautiful. The two of them were staying in the internet cafe. Could something unknown have happened to them? Stop talking nonsense. Check her out first. Bai Luo glared at those people and urged Yangzu. She could only hold her temper and promised to check Leng Yu carefully. Because of this sudden trouble, the atmosphere between the two sides was not as tense as before. Gao Yang fuming even prepared a quiet room for Leng Yu at Betty Minglan's request. Gao Yangzu and her entourage went together, and Betty Minglan and Bai Luo escorted her from behind and put her on the bed. But when Yangzu was checking Leng Yu, Zinai's situation was not optimistic. She had suddenly received a letter from Kanglang country before, and she was very worried that something really went wrong in the country. After explaining the matter, she hurriedly left the internet cafe. However, under Leng Yu's guidance, she was not completely vigilant about this inexplicable letter. On the way back, she had been carefully leaving marks for Leng Yu along the way. They were sisters, and with the unique bloodline technique of Kanglang country, they could feel where she was. In case she was really harmed by someone, her sister would also know where she was and could avenge her. But even though she was quite powerful and had made arrangements, because the other party was more prepared, the traces she left along the way were quietly erased by the people arranged by Yan country and Xiling country. Bai Luo was quite confident in Zio2's strength. He had never seen Zinai formally attack outsiders before, and he didn't know how good her cultivation was, so he left Zio2 in the internet cafe. In case he encountered some blind people, he could scare them first. Teota's ability to conceal his whereabouts was much better than Zinai's. All the way, he disguised himself as an ordinary puppy and followed behind. His entire breath almost merged with the air, and Zinai didn't even notice it. In the distant forest, the people from Yan country and Xiling country whispered, "I heard that the emperor has already discovered the secret of the internet cafe. Why did he take action only now? Since he knows what is going on in the internet cafe, shouldn't the emperor send someone to check it out first?" Another person said, "I took my brothers to take a look before, and I also went to the inside of the internet cafe. But it seems very mysterious there. After we went in, it was pitch black everywhere. There were all kinds of weird machines in the room, and we didn't know how to use them. It would be strange if they knew how to use them, although the people sent by the emperors of the two countries were all top-notch masters, and their ability to hide their whereabouts was also quite powerful. However, when they sneaked in, it happened to be the time when the internet cafe was closed. In order to save electricity, Bai Luo would never turn on the power when there were no customers in the internet cafe and other employees were not practicing inside. Even if there are people in this world who have blood with lightning attributes and can bring electric shocks to people, they don't know how to generate electricity. Even if the host is forcibly turned on, it is unknown how to use it later, and it would be strange if they can get information from it. So the emperor wants us to come and stop her? I heard that they are going to open a branch in Kanglang country. The emperors of the two countries had specially arranged people to carefully watch Bai Luo's movements. Some people with very sensitive ears also learned some important information through their daily chats. Since they can't invade this internet cafe, they want to get the branch in Kanglang country. Read the error-free version at 69 book bar. 6 equals 9 plus BOOK_BAR first published this novel. If Xinayu is dealt with her ability, she should be able to take them to that powerful internet cafe branch, right? At that time, it will help the strength of their two countries to a high level. Don't talk nonsense for now. Complete the emperor's order, and you must take this woman back. The man in the middle with a scarf on his face and a lightning-shaped totem in the middle of his forehead waved his hand, and the two people on the left and right immediately held their breath and focused, watching the movement in front. They have already dug a trap, just waiting for Xinayu to fall into it later. This time she took the shortest and most convenient way. Although the forest was full of dangers, she could not care less. Now she only had one follower to help her. She was worried that, if she was delayed on the road for too long, the domestic affairs would be difficult to deal with, so she had to take risks. However, when she appeared near the center of the forest, she felt that the surrounding atmosphere became a little strange. After all, she had been training outside for a long time, and she still had a keen sense of the outside world. When she realized that something was wrong, she immediately changed direction. However, it was too late. She heard a strange sound and couldn't help rubbing her ears. At the same time, two vines that were several hundred meters long suddenly whipped her in midair. In order to save time, Xinayu used her fastest flying magic weapon this time, a bronze iron sword. The vines seemed to have vitality and were controlled by the two men on the left and right, tightly tying her in the center. Xinayu was furious, knowing that she was being targeted this time. She silently recited the formula, and a pure red sword was summoned from the Danshan treasure house. She gritted her teeth and chopped at the vines. Chapter 87, Rescue. Seeing that a gap had been cut, the totem man suddenly released his magic weapon, a small emerald green gourd. After removing the plug, he cast a series of spells, and hundreds of red insects crawled out of it, and were manipulated by him to appear directly in the center of the vine. Xinayu was a girl after all, and she was naturally disgusted by such things that kept crawling without hands and feet, and was trapped for a while. It happened that these insects were blood-sucking. As soon as they smelled the fresh breath of human life in the encirclement of the vine, they immediately squirmed their bodies and desperately pounced on her. "What is it? Get out of here." She shook off the worm with all her strength. But this thing was like a leech. Once it touched her body, its mouthparts would keep drilling into it, and it was not easy to get it out. She had no choice but to use the Dan fire to burn them down. But after these insects were burned into a bloody paste and fell to the ground, other insects pounced on them again and actually cannibalized their own kind. In the blink of an eye, several worms that had eaten their own kind had grown as long as her palm, and the red color on their bodies had become a little darker. She is trapped by bloodworms, and she can't get out in a short time. Just take her away. The totem man waved his hand, and the two men on the left and right immediately manipulated the vines to quickly retreat with Zinаю. Trapped by the bloodworms and vines, Zinаю was anxious, but if she wanted to continue cutting the vines, she would have to come out of her own personal barrier, and it was inevitable that she would be attacked by those bloodworms, and she was actually entangled and burned. The two men were moving very fast, and the vines wrapped Zinаю layer by layer as she moved forward. Seeing that there was less and less space to breathe, these bloodworms desperately drilled into her body. Just when Zinаю was already desperate and worried that she would die before her sister came to save her, the Daoist suddenly rushed over. Just now, it had been following behind, originally just wanting to see how Zinаю performed when fighting against those people, but it found that she seemed to be no match for those people at all, and was quite helpless being entangled. It could even sense that her own internal strength was constantly draining away, and now it finally became a little worried. Previously, it had eaten something by mistake, which caused some unspeakable things to happen with Lengaiyu, and it was quite guilty of her. Now that it found that Lengaiu's sister was entangled by someone, it had no choice but to decide to mind its business. It stomped one of its claws on the ground, and its entire body suddenly swelled up in the wind, turning into a behemoth that was more than 10 meters long and 4 or 5 meters high. Although the Daoist's body had not yet appeared, the blood energy in its body was still quite not to be underestimated. After hearing its loud roar, the totem man who had just led the way in the middle actually felt that the extremely powerful sound wave attack had stopped his progress, and a translucent barrier suddenly appeared in front of him. What is that? The two men heard the sound and turned their heads. They saw a majestic black beast appeared less than 100 meters away from them. They looked at the leader in front and said, "Brother San, what should we do? It looks like it wants to stop us. Let's trap Zinаю here first. Come with me to deal with it." The totem man waved his hand and came with him. The people who were just helping him rushed up. However, the power of the ancient beast was far beyond their imagination. The Daoist's huge tail swung hard, and the man on the left felt that the bones in his waist were completely broken. Before he could fight back, he was thrown heavily into the air dozens of meters high and fell to the ground again, grimacing in pain. The totem man was of a high level and was wearing armor. Although he was not directly bitten in half by the Daoist, when he was bitten, his skin and flesh were still severely affected. Daoist threw him aside with all his strength. The man reached out his hand to his waist and found that his armor had been bitten into a huge hole. Fear finally appeared in his eyes. What on earth is this thing? It's so powerful. Daoist seemed to have not had enough fun. He opened his mouth and suddenly exhaled a huge amount of turbid air. The minions just now were immediately sucked into a position very close to its mouth. The man was shocked and subconsciously wanted to pull these minions back. But Daoist was like a cat catching a mouse. He didn't eat those minions directly. Instead, he turned around and pulled them to a place several hundred meters away. When the man on the right pounced on him, it was obvious that his momentum had dropped a lot. Daoist chopped hard with his claws and grabbed his shoulder fiercely. With a sizzling sound, his third-grade robe was torn to pieces. A huge scratch appeared from the right shoulder to the waist, and blood was constantly flowing out. Even the bones could be vaguely seen. However, after only 2 encounters, these people suffered such heavy losses. Daoist roared triumphantly. They are just ordinary humans with no ability, and they dare to come and ask for trouble. It's simply overestimating their own abilities. Read the error-free version at 69 book bar. 6 equals 9 plus book bar published this novel for the first time. I'll fight you. The totem man was furious and gathered all his strength in his right wrist. A huge ball of light hit Daoist. Daoist just snorted from his nostrils. It didn't take much effort at all. He threw the ball of light to another flat place with his tail. I only heard a bunch of birds and beasts startled where the ball of light landed, but it had no effect on Daoist. However, the man had used up a lot of his strength because of using his ultimate move. He was panting and could hardly stand up. Daoist circled around them, picked them up directly, and threw them to a strange place like throwing chickens. The man was still thinking at the moment he was thrown away. What on earth was that thing just now? He seemed to see that the thing turned into a dog at the moment he threw them out. When did the strength of a dog become so strong? Could it be that it turned into that after some powerful beast had the power of transformation? But before he could think for a moment, his head hit a big tree heavily, and he fell into a coma instantly. Xinyu was exhausted by the bloodworms. Even though no one attacked her now, she still couldn't break out of a huge egg wrapped in vines. Teoti seemed quite dissatisfied with her performance. After returning to the appearance of a little rabbit, he kicked his legs and jumped into the air. With its 2 claws tearing to the left and right, the vine that seemed so unbreakable in front of Xinyu just now was torn open by it. Chapter 88. Who is the child's biological father? The little rabbit rescued her from the vines and saw that her face was pale and her body was trembling slightly. She screamed and tried to drive the bloodworms that kept attacking her aside. She couldn't help but sigh. Didn't I hear that she was Leng Yu's biological sister? Why is her strength so low? It took so long and couldn't even deal with these little bugs. It was really disappointing. But those twisting little bugs were really annoying. It looked annoying. It opened its mouth and suddenly spit out a fireball. Teoti's life fire is much more powerful than Xinayu's Dan fire. There was only a sizzling sound. The bloodworms that could only be burned into a paste by Xinayu's Dan fire and fell to the ground, but could still be eaten by other worms, were instantly burned to a charred black, and the air was filled with a very unpleasant smell. Teoti half squatted in front of Xinayu and looked at her. After watching her walk out exhausted, he breathed a sigh of relief. Xinayu gently touched its back and said, I didn't expect that it was you who came to save me. Isn't it a bit ironic? Teoti rolled his eyes at it, settled her down next to him, and disappeared in front of her in the blink of an eye. Xinayu didn't know what was going on with the little rabbit and thought it was going to take her away, but she found that the little rabbit actually brought the follower who had just been attacked and knocked unconscious from another place. Then, he picked a few fruits nearby that could replenish their spiritual power. After waking up the follower, Teoti sent the fruit to Xinayu and the others. The meaning was very clear, asking them to eat quickly and not starve to death. Xinayu was very grateful. Through what happened just now, she also realized that the way back would be full of dangers, and she didn't know how many people were waiting for her in secret. She couldn't just go back so openly, and she had to find a way to settle the things behind first. After she slowly ate a fruit, her strength recovered a little. But the spiritual energy that had just been consumed in large quantities had not yet been completely restored. She could only let Xiao to lead the way. She and the followers beside her supported each other and limped back to the internet cafe. In the Xiangsuan palace, Gao Yangzu carefully examined Leng Yu and found that her feeling just now was indeed correct. Leng Yu was indeed pregnant. Seeing her pale face, she had retched several times in just a quarter of an hour. She couldn't help but glared at Bai Luo fiercely. She turned her head and said to Yang fuming and others who were waiting outside the room, Father, Leng Yu is pregnant, but I don't know who the father of the child is. Her current condition is quite dangerous, and we can't do anything to her easily. Otherwise, if she dies here, where can we in Xiangsuan go to seek justice? You kid, you are just talking nonsense. Since you can see that she is pregnant, help her take good care of her. We have a lot of precious medicinal materials here, and we can't let her get into trouble here. Gao Yang fuming couldn't help but give her a few more instructions. I know. Gao Yangzu saw that Bai Luo did not explain and walked out angrily, calling the other 2 doctors over. After all, this was her first time to see a pregnant woman, and she did not know how to prescribe medicine, so she could only ask 2 doctors who were good at gynecology to come and help her consider. Although Betty Minglan had been practicing in the Holy Land for many years, she did not know much about the affairs of men and women and had never experienced it before, but she was a woman after all, so she could naturally see that Yangzu's eyes looking at Bai Luo were very wrong. She could not help but cough lightly. Leng Yu was in your internet cafe before. Didn't you know that she was pregnant? Although she had only been in the internet cafe for a short time, she also knew that Bai Luo's management was quite strict. Except for the last time, when she was preparing the opening address of the internet cafe branch, and was taken to the Kanglang kingdom under Leng Yu's deception. She should not have gone out much during this period of time, right? Moreover, no one came in after the internet cafe was closed at night, so how could Leng Yu not have this child in her belly? Could it be that she was pregnant by herself like the grass elves? Bai Luo didn't understand what Yangzu was thinking, so he answered irrelevantly. Yangzu, don't you have feelings for Lengyu? Why do you have a stern face? I'm asking if this child has anything to do with you. Is it yours? Betty Minglan asked directly this time. Bai Luo's eyes widened in shock. What nonsense are you talking about? She is just an employee of the internet cafe. What can happen between the two of us? Betty Minglan was not very reassured, so he first called two gentle and patient maids and Lengyu's followers to take care of her and drove everyone out. Gao Yang fuming suddenly remembered what his daughter had just told him and asked, "Senior, Lengyu's child, this is impossible. It's impossible for her and I to have a child. I haven't even touched her. Can you stop talking nonsense?" Bai Luo looked helpless. Read the error-free version at 69 book bar. 6 equals 9 plus BOOK_BAR is the first to publish this novel. Besides, I'm a loyal person. I don't even have a wife by my side now. How could I suddenly have a child with another woman? You guys look down on me too much, don't you? However, people didn't believe his words. If he really didn't have any feelings for young and beautiful women, then what happened to his previous title of the sex maniac saint? Could it be that everyone is just talking nonsense? There must be a reason for this reputation. What are you looking at? You all don't believe me. Bai Luo was stunned. Everything I said just now is true. If you don't believe it, you can ask other imperial doctors with better medical skills to see if they can identify who the father of the child in her belly is. Anyway, it has nothing to do with me. Although he sympathized with Lengyu's previous experience, it didn't mean that he could put this bucket of dirty water directly on his head. Doesn't he have any face? Why not ask the Lord of Kanglang country to explain everything to us? She is the mother of the child, so she naturally knows whose child is in her belly. It was the fifth prince who stepped forward to smooth things over. Gao Yang fuming gave him an approving look, and then everyone squeezed into the room again. But with so many people standing in front of her, Lengyu didn't dare to say who the biological father of her child was. She hesitated for a long time and didn't say a word. You just need to tell me whether the biological father of the child is Bai Luo. You must know this, right? Betty Minglan couldn't stand it anymore and took the initiative to stand up. She felt more and more that the behavior of the Xiangsuan people this time was really despicable. So many people gathered around them. Aren't they deliberately embarrassing them? Lengyu is a woman after all. From her appearance, she seems to be surprised that she is pregnant. Why are they surrounding her like this? If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 89. Confusing. It's not the boss. He has nothing to do with it. Lengyu said hurriedly. If you say there is no, then there is no. Otherwise, why did Xiaoxu run away in anger? It must be because of your relationship with the senior. The youngest prince stood up, his face full of disbelief. Unless you tell us who the biological father of our child is and find him out to confront him, we will believe you. Thinking of everything that happened in the cave with the beast before, Lengyu was worried and shook her head vigorously. It's really not the boss. I have nothing to do with him. I was also very honest in the internet cafe before. I think you are clearly lying. Enough. Betty Minglan really couldn't bear it anymore and directly stopped the prince from speaking, his eyes scraping across his face like ice and snow. The prince still didn't dare to offend the people of the Holy Land, so he could only carefully lower his head, but his face was full of unwillingness. I believe everyone knows my identity. The Holy Land has a very ancient identification method that can check whether the biological father of this child is Bai Luo. If you don't believe Lengyu, I can help her take a look. Betty Minglan took the initiative to help. If the saint can help, that would be great. Do you need us to prepare anything? Gao Yang fuming immediately expressed his opinion. A golden basin and clear water without any pollution are enough. I have the rest. As soon as she finished speaking, Gao Yang fuming quickly arranged for people to go down and prepare. Bai Luo was not nervous at all. He casually changed a stool and sat next to several people. He knew best whether he had a relationship with Leng Yu, but looking at Leng Yu like this, it seemed a bit difficult to say. Could it be that the difference between the child's biological father and her was too obvious, and she was embarrassed to say it? Now they are still in the territory of Xiangsuan country. If they knew that Leng Yu was with a man who was not presentable, I'm afraid that people outside would laugh at her, right? He didn't think there was anything wrong with the difference in status. After all, there were many people who had fought back from losers to Long Ocean. Wasn't Yang Chen the same? He had jumped from an ordinary foundation building stage to the 5th stage of the Golden Core. His cultivation should be even higher now. He could have such an amazing change, so why couldn't he allow the birth of Leng Yu's child's father to be unsatisfactory? Soon, the maid came up with an iron and wooden box in both hands. Betty Minglan first put on a pair of pure white gloves, checked the water and the golden basin in front of everyone, and after making sure there were no problems, he poured water into the basin, and then urged them, 10 steps back, don't disturb me. The princes were still a little unhappy, but Yang fuming glared at them fiercely and quickly agreed. Then, someone brought them stools, and they all stretched their heads anxiously to look over there. Betty Minglan waved his hand, and a hollow screen with a bird pattern carved on it suddenly blocked them. Yang Chen couldn't stand it anymore and yelled, "What are you doing? Are you trying to protect her from thieves? She is a woman after all. I'm doing such an important and private thing as checking her body, and you guys are watching me without blinking. Do you think it's appropriate?" Betty Minglan snorted disdainfully. Yang Chen was choked. Although the gender barrier in Xiangsuan country was not so obvious, it would be very embarrassing if Betty Minglan wanted to check her stomach, so she could only shut up. Betty Minglan took out a very valuable jade box from his storage bag, and then took out a silver needle that was about the length of his palm, and shook it in front of Leng Yu. "You know this thing. I need to take out a little bit of your blood to test who the biological father of your child is. As long as you have physical contact with others, you will carry the other person's blood power. I can see that this is also the best way to clear your grievances. Do you want to try it?" Leng Yu looked at her with some difficulty and whispered, "Saint, I can swear to heaven that I really have nothing to do with the boss, and this child is not his. Can we not use this method?" She was worried that the saint would find out that her blood was related to beasts during the test and become the object of ridicule by the people of Xiangsuan. She is the ruler of a country after all. How can she be bullied by fierce beasts? "I don't care. I'm just afraid that those people in Xiangsuan will not let you go." Betty Minglan's face still did not change any expression. Although he had never experienced such a thing, the two countries had a grudge. If there was a chance to add insult to injury, they would definitely not let her go, right? "Then, can you please keep it a secret for a while and not tell them who the father of the child is? Just give them a rough idea." Seeing Leng Yu's anxious tears almost falling, for some reason, she couldn't bear it. She remembered that more than 10 years ago, a woman in the Holy Land was also like this. Originally, that woman was her senior sister. She had good qualifications in cultivation speed. She was the most likely to become the direct disciple of the Great Elder. However, she was accidentally spotted by a fierce beast during an outing for a trial, and even had blood because of it. The energy in the fierce beast's body was too huge, and the senior sister couldn't get rid of the child with their blood, and was discovered by the people of the Holy Land. Read the error-free version at 69 book bar. 6 = 9 plus BOOK_BAR published this novel for the first time. That was the first time she saw the elders of the Holy Land use secret methods to find out the origin of the senior sister's child. When she saw the image of the beast appear in the golden basin, the young Betty Minglan was stunned. Seeing Leng Yu's expression, she immediately remembered what happened to that senior sister at that time, and nodded hesitantly. "I know it in my mind." The two of them had high cultivation, not to mention that Bai Luo was here, so the people behind the screen naturally didn't hear clearly what they were talking about. Betty Minglan looked at her encouragingly. "I'm going to do it. You bear it a little." If she was bullied by a beast with strong blood like that senior sister, even if she was pregnant, the child might not be safe in her belly. Who knows if it can grow up safely? Betty Minglan concentrated his mind and let Leng Yu concentrate all her strength on her fingertips, then moved his hand and quickly drew a drop of blood into the golden basin. Leng Yu put her index finger in her mouth and sucked it, anxiously waiting for her action. Gao Yang fuming and others behind the screen didn't dare to breathe, for fear of affecting the test results later. After about a quarter of an hour, the shadow of Teoti actually appeared in the golden basin. Even someone as calm and strong as Betty Minglan was shocked by the result and couldn't help but take a breath. She turned her head and looked at Leng Yu again. Chapter 90 The Farce Ends. Although she couldn't be sure that the child in Leng Yu's belly was from Teoti, she could at least prove that it was definitely a fierce beast with a blood relationship with Teoti. How did Leng Yu get involved with those things? Thinking of the time when the senior sister found out that the child in her belly was related to the fierce beast, the Holy Land expelled her to the ice and snow area thousands of miles away because she brought shame to the sect, leaving her to fend for herself. Betty Minglan felt very sorry. Later, she secretly took a junior brother to see it in person, but found that the senior sister had already died. Without the powerful cultivation resources of the Holy Land, the senior sister could not find a suitable place to practice after being expelled from the sect. The thing in her stomach began to absorb her nutrition crazily and actually sucked her dry. When she rushed over with her junior brother, she only saw that the senior sister's stomach had deflated and there was a faint smell of blood around her. It was obvious that the senior sister had died for a long time. She was also worried that Leng Yu would end up in a miserable situation if she revealed that the child in her belly also had the blood of an animal. She took a deep breath, slightly moved her fingers above the golden basin, and then said calmly, "I have finished the examination. You can come and have a look." Gao Yang Chen immediately swarmed around it. Everyone gathered around the golden basin and found that there was a cloud-like thing on it. They were all very confused. Gao Yang fuming had never seen such an examination method before and asked politely, "Saint, what does this pattern represent?" "It means that the biological father of the child in her belly is a powerful person. After the child is born, it will definitely turn danger into safety," Betty Minglan said calmly. Anyway, what she said was not all lies. After all, Leng Yu's cultivation was not low, and the child in her belly was related to the blood of Teoti. If it can be born safely in the future, it is estimated that it will have a great achievement. Then how can we be sure that it has nothing to do with the senior? A prince asked, and the others also wanted to know. What kind of detection method is this? It is impossible to see any relationship with the biological father of this child. If you don't believe it, you can ask him to come over and try it out. After Betty Minglan called Bai Luo over, he reached out and used a silver needle to prick his index finger. After a drop of blood came out of his fingertip, everyone found that the auspicious cloud pattern in the golden basin and the drop of blood that Bai Luo had just dropped in were completely incompatible and far apart. Bai Luo had heard of blood testing before, but he really wanted to refute it in his heart. This ancient blood testing was not reliable at all and had no effect at all. But everyone actually believed it. The fifth prince clicked his tongue and looked as if he had suddenly realized something. It turns out that she really didn't lie just now. The child in her belly has nothing to do with the senior. Yes, if Bai Luo is really the biological father of the child, his blood will immediately merge with this pattern, but it is obviously not. Now you can believe it, right? I dare to guarantee with the reputation of the Holy Land that the child in Leng Yu's belly is definitely not Bai Luo's. Her eyebrows were indifferent, but she made people trust her for no reason. Gao Yang fuming said quickly, "Of course we believe in the detection method of the Holy Land. I'm really sorry for misunderstanding the Lord of Kanglang Nation just now. Okay, you can leave first. She has just been pregnant for a while and needs to rest well. Follow my instructions and prescribe more medicinal herbs that are useful to her." As she said that, she waved her hand and wrote down a list of precious medicinal herbs, asking Gao Yang fuming to do it quickly. He took a look and handed the list to the fifth prince, asking him to go over. Fortunately, it was not too much trouble just now, and the commanders did not know about it, otherwise it would be embarrassing. However, Leng Yu had a child in such a strange way, and she was not married yet. who is the biological father of this child. Even the saint said that he was a big figure in the area. It must be very remarkable, but why didn't Leng Yu marry into the family? Gao Yang fuming began to rack his brains to think. The other princes had similar ideas to him, and even began to discuss in a low voice. Could it be that Leng Yu's biological father is a very powerful figure, but he already has a wife, so he doesn't want to marry her and let her run around outside after having a child? Don't tell me, your idea seems to be quite tenable. Another prince was full of interest. There are more powerful sects and immortal holy places above our 4 countries. Maybe Leng Yu is related to such a big figure. She is so lucky. Stop talking nonsense. Looking at Leng Yu's appearance just now, it is obvious that she didn't know she was pregnant before. Another prince objected. Minor, how can you say that? Who knows if she is acting? That's right, we are still in the territory of our Xiangsuan kingdom. Can she be more careful? Several princes chattered and almost quarreled. Okay, now I can finally clear my suspicion. I have been waiting for so long, and my bones are sore from sitting. Bai Luo stood up, stretched his muscles, and then turned his head, instantly shutting up the princes. Bai Luo snorted when he found that Yangzu had brought 2 doctors with her. Read the error-free version at 69 book bar. 6 equals 9 plus BOOK_BAR released this novel for the first time. She heard that Betty Minglan had just shown the father and others the general direction of the child's biological father, and her expression was a little strange. You just wronged Leng Yu and Bai Luo. Why don't you go over and apologize? Betty Minglan looked at her with a cold face. Gao Yangzu was embarrassed, but she didn't dare to disobey her father's gaze, so she could only walk carefully to Bai Luo and bow. Boss, I was wrong before. I was judging you by my own standards and misunderstood you. I'm sorry. Then can you come back to the internet cafe with me? You and your brother did a good job at my place before. If it wasn't because of the misunderstanding, you two left. I really hope you can stay with me for a while. Bai Luo smiled. This time, they had a bit of an ugly fight because of Leng Yu's matter. Gao Yang fuming was worried that Bai Luo would ignore them in the future. Now he suddenly heard the active reminder. He was ecstatic and quickly brought his 2 children in front of him and promised. Senior, as long as you don't despise my 2 children, they are at your disposal. This time we are too petty. We should sincerely apologize to you. Senior, I'm sorry. Dao Yang Chen's anger was mostly gone. Leng Yu's attitude was already quite clear before. After all, he has been the prince of Xiangsuan kingdom for so many years. If he didn't even have this ability to judge the situation, he would have been stepped on by other brothers long ago. Now his anger has dissipated a little, and he can talk to Bai Luo with clear thinking. Senior, we were wrong before. Later, my sister and I will personally apologize to Lord Leng. I also ask Senior to be magnanimous and not to be angry with us. Chapter 91, A False Alarm. Thinking of what his father had just whispered to him, Dao Yang Chen felt that it made sense. As long as Leng Yu was willing to express its stance, and Kanglang country would never take the initiative to attack them, they would have already succeeded halfway. Moreover, Leng Yu was a smart person, and now that she was pregnant, she should be more careful. If the other 2 countries wanted to invade in the future, they could probably inform them in time, so that they could at least prepare defenses in advance. What do you think? If you don't want to, we'll go back first. There are other things. Betty Minglan came over, still as cold as an iceberg. However, Dao Yang Chen also knew that the Holy Land was well known, and it was not good to make things too awkward with them, so he could only look at Bai Luo carefully. If Kanglang country can express its stance to us and stop attacking us in the future, you have to discuss this with Leng Yu. Betty Minglan interrupted him impatiently. A grown man is so slow to speak. If you have something to discuss with your father, can't you just go to Leng Yu and explain it to her? It's just a small matter that takes so long. I don't know what you are thinking. Gao Yang Chen was scolded by her again. His face looked a little bad, and Dao Yangzu was even more stiff. Betty Minglan's eyes fluttered over her, and she immediately felt like she was poured with a basin of ice water from head to toe. She shivered instantly and quickly grabbed Dao Yang Chen's arm. Brother, come with me to talk to Leng Yu. If she can promise, we will follow Bai Luo back. My previous trial is not over yet. All up to you. Bao Yangchen saw that his sister gave him a way out and hurriedly nodded and followed her into the room. Betty Minglan prescribed countless precious and rare medicinal materials for Leng Yu and boiled them into several bowls of thick medicinal soup. After she drank it, her face was obviously better. Watching the brother and sister come in, Bao Yangchen slowly told them their ideas, and she actually agreed very straightforwardly. This is what I wanted to promise you before. If the other two countries hadn't put too much pressure on me, I wouldn't have been with them before. And now my situation is special. How can I spend too much energy? Please rest assured. You mean you agreed? Did you agree so easily? Now it was Ao Yangzu who felt a little unbelievable. When did Leng Yu become so easy to talk to? With my current situation, how can I have any trouble with the other two countries in private? Isn't this harming myself? Don't worry, I know what I'm doing, and I won't do anything reckless. Leng Yu smiled helplessly. It was also her first time to have a child, and she knew that it would be very dangerous in the early stage. And just now Betty Minglan secretly revealed a little to her, and she was even more worried. She had read the ancient books of Kangalang country before, and the books recorded that if humans and beasts had children, although there was a great possibility that the children were powerful, the speed of cultivation would advance by leaps and bounds after birth and become quite remarkable. But at the same time, there are also very obvious disadvantages. If the mother of the child is human, it is very likely that the mother will face great difficulties because the child needs enough nutrition when in the mother's belly. No wonder she always feels sore all over her body recently. It is estimated that the strength in her body has been absorbed by the child. Recently, in order to hurry on the road, she has not eaten well. No wonder the child is in her stomach. I have promised in front of you before. I will not lie. As long as you are willing to believe me, the two countries can naturally have peaceful exchanges in the future. However, you must pay attention to Yan country and Xiling country. They will not give up easily. After all, she has dealt with them before. Leng Yu knows that the other two emperors are ambitious and greedy. If they all discover the power of the internet cafe, they will definitely find a way to get a share of it. Now she must ensure the interests of their own country. Since you agreed, we will trust you first. If you are not feeling well, you can rest here for a while. Seeing Leng Yu being so easy to talk to and regaining her usual gentle appearance, Bao Yangchen took the initiative to suggest, we have to go back to the internet cafe first, but don't worry, the doctors will take good care of you. Yes, the saint is already urging us, Ao Yangzu stepped forward to add. Don't be afraid, I will explain your affairs to my father clearly, and no one will bully you here. Ao Yangzu felt that, as long as the child in Leng Yu's belly was not Bai Luo's, and she promised that the Kangalang kingdom would not take the initiative to attack them in the future, Leng Yu would be a person who could be dealt with, and naturally would not target her like before. Read the error-free version at 69 book bar. 6 equals 9 plus book bar published this novel for the first time. No need, I feel much better now. Why don't we set off immediately? Seeing her firm attitude, Bao Yangchen and the others could only go out to ask Betty Minglan and Bai Luo for their opinions. But she and Ao Yangzu called a few more doctors to come over. After personally examining Leng Yu, they frowned and stopped her decision. No, given your current physical condition, if you suddenly leave like this and something happens on the way, no one can guarantee whether you and the baby in your belly can survive. Just listen to me and rest here for another day and night until you are sure that your body can withstand the long journey before leaving. Bai Luo originally wanted to urge them to go back to the internet cafe, but now seeing Betty Minglan so nervous, after checking Leng Yu's body, he was embarrassed to speak. After thinking about it, Zinai was left in the internet cafe before, and there was no outside reception. It was only a few days, and they could afford to delay, so they nodded and agreed. In order to express her guilt for Leng Yu, Ao Yangzu specially called a few doctors to take turns to guard here. Every 1 or 2 hours, a bowl of thick soup would be brought to Leng Yu, and various nourishing things flowed into her stomach like water. But she ate so much, but she didn't feel hungry at all. Even Bai Luo was surprised. It seems that the child in your stomach is a good eater. I'm afraid it has absorbed everything you eat. Yeah, I don't know what it will look like when it grows up. Leng Yu recalled what happened in the cave before, and her expression was a little embarrassed. Betty Minglan wanted to ask something, and directly ordered several people to leave. I have to see her again. You go out first. I will sleep in the next room tonight. If she needs anything, I can take care of her at any time. When did you become so easy to talk to? Bai Luo was a little surprised. Aren't people from the Holy Land all high and mighty? I heard from Yangzu and the others that Betty Minglan's temper is not very good. He is the kind of person who will start fighting if he disagrees with something. Of course, he has also seen this in the internet cafe, but fortunately no one was killed. Chapter 92, The Real and the False. Can't I be kind for once? Or do you think it's more appropriate for you to live with her? If so, then I'll give you this opportunity. Bai Luo was choked a few times and didn't know what to say. He could only pretend to be tired and walked out while yawning. Seeing that those who were in the way had gone far away, Betty Minglan extended his spiritual sense to check and found that there was no one who dared to peek at them outside. Then he casually moved a chair over and sat very close to Leng Yu, looking at her straight in the eyes. Leng Yu felt uneasy when she looked at her. She forced a smile and looked at her. Saint, just say whatever you want to say. There's no need to keep looking at me like this. Then answer honestly later. Even if I helped you hide the true situation of the child in your belly before, you should be a little more honest with me. Of course. Leng Yu nodded quickly. Thanks to Betty Minglan for not telling the truth to Yang Chen and the others, because of her weak body. Otherwise, she would not be able to take care of the baby here safely. They would probably have found a way to put her under house arrest, and she and the baby might not survive. The baby in your belly is strange. Did you go out a few days ago? I remember that, after I arrived at the internet cafe, Bai Luo praised you for being very honest and not playing any tricks in private. Except for the last time, when you wanted to open an internet cafe branch in Kanglang country. You have not been to other places. So how did you get this baby with the blood of a fierce beast in your belly? Bai Minglan checked the month of the baby for her, and was very surprised. After all, he is the king of a country. If they knew that she had a relationship with a fierce beast, she would definitely become a laughingstock. I'm afraid that Kanglang country would not be able to raise its head. Leng Yu would not, and could not take such a risk. Moreover, the Holy Land has been tracking the whereabouts of Teoti. For such a powerful ancient fierce beast, every inch of its skin is a treasure. In the past, Teoti had hurt people in the Holy Land, and the head of the sect had always wanted to capture Teoti and punish him in the Holy Land. If that was the case, how did Leng Yu get together with the fierce beast with Teoti blood? Well, Leng Yu racked his brains to think of how to get away with it. After hesitating for a moment, he could only say half truthfully, Saint, you don't know, before I went to the internet cafe, I was ambushed in a forest. When I went out, I was only accompanied by 2 followers, but I didn't expect that when I arrived at a place, it seemed that I touched the barrier set by a big monster. My 2 followers and I were not the opponent of the big monster. After a resistance, we were knocked unconscious and appeared in a cave. After waking up, I only felt severe pain all over my body, but there was no one around me, and I could only smell a strange smell. It took me a lot of effort to contact my followers, and then I went to the internet cafe. In other words, during the time you were unconscious, it is very likely that other fierce beasts bullied you? Betty Minglan's expression was a little strange. Leng Yu's luck wouldn't be so bad, right? I don't know. No beasts have bothered me since then. I thought the matter had settled down. Really? Betty Minglan continued to examine her. For many years, the Holy Land has been tracking the traces of Teoti. It was clearly found before, but for some reason, all the information was suddenly lost recently. She felt very strange, so she looked for Leng Yu. But looking at her expression, she seemed quite sincere, and she didn't seem to be faking it. Betty Minglan could only nod his head. Then if you see the place where the big monster trapped you again in the future, you must tell me. I have to go and see it myself. Of course, what I said just now is the truth. Please don't ask such questions again in the future, Saint. If other people find out, I will feel very embarrassed. Betty Minglan agreed, but still had doubts about what Leng Yu said just now. Even if she was really unconscious, She would definitely react to being bullied by the beast, right? She didn't know anything about the whole process. How could this be possible? Okay, then you should have a good rest first. Your current situation is special. No matter what, you have to wait until the baby in your belly is born before making other plans. With that, Betty Minglen went to the small bed next to her and lay down. Her nerves have been tense these days. Even though she has practiced for many years, not sleeping for a few days has no effect at all. Now she wants to relax a little. The crane copper stove in the room has already lit the incense to help sleep. Not long after, she closed her eyes peacefully. Leng Yu pressed her pounding chest, not knowing how much Betty Minglen believed her words. But there was no way. This was the most convincing reason she could find. If Betty Minglen really didn't believe her, there was nothing she could do. When she woke up the next day, she found that Leng Yu's condition had improved a little, and Betty Minglen was relieved. Bai Luo thought about it, and originally planned to let Yang Chen take out his shuttle. Although the speed of that thing was not as fast as his flying magic weapon, it was more stable, and the cultivation of the few of them was not low, except for Zhu. But she can help take care of Leng Yu, and protect her, and the child from getting into trouble. It is always best to go back safely. Read the error-free version at 69 book bar. 6 equals 9 plus BOOK_BAR published this novel for the first time. But Betty Minglen was worried about the internet cafe and was anxious to go back to continue practicing. Leng Yu was also afraid that she would leave her sister and followers alone in the internet cafe. If something happened, she would regret it. She urged him to use the fastest flying magic weapon without worrying about safety. Betty Minglen then took out his flying magic weapon, a thing that looked like a huge bow and arrow. After listening to her talk about the principle of this flying bow, several people agreed very happily. This magic weapon was a gift from an elder when she became a saint a long time ago. It has no other effect, but it can fly very fast and can appear at an altitude of tens of thousands of meters. When you reach such a place, you should not encounter those strange things below, and you can rush back as quickly as possible. Even if you encounter something on the way, Bai Luo believes that with these people, Leng Yu will not be affected. Among the few people, Leng Yu's situation was the most special and the most dangerous. Seeing that she agreed, everyone naturally had no intention of objecting, and they stretched out their hands to put on the flying magic weapon. After Betty Minglen chanted the formula and activated it, everyone immediately closed their eyes and only heard the whistling sound of wind flashing by their ears. Bai Luo raised his hand and put a pair of earmuffs and matching masks on their heads, and he was able to spare some time to talk to them. It's better to have masks and earmuffs to protect you, but don't talk. The wind here is too strong and the speed is fast. The words will probably be blown away by the wind. Several people could only nod their heads and flew at high speed in the air for several hours. Chapter 93 asked him to take charge. Just when everyone was a little tired, they finally landed. Leng Yu felt her legs go limp and her face turned pale when she came down. Zhu hurried over to support her, and her followers came over to protect her waist tightly. Hearing the noise outside, Zinai was very excited and ran out of the internet cafe. Teoti reacted faster and was worried that he would get into trouble outside again, so he rushed out of the room first. When he found out that it was Bai Luo and the others who came back, he immediately threw himself at his feet and jumped into his arms. Bai Luo hurriedly touched his back and saw that Zinai looked a little ugly when she came out and took the initiative to ask, "Did you encounter any trouble? Why do you look not in good spirits?" She did encounter some things. Let her tell you. There is not much food left. She was injured before, and there is no medicine here. She is recovering a little slowly. The herbs and spiritual fruits I found for her in the forest are not very effective. After Teoti briefly told what happened recently, Zhu had already walked up to help check Zinai. It was inevitable that the wounds of all sizes on her body were somewhat shocking. Bai Luo quickly bought a lot of food and daily necessities from the system, including more effective internal and external medicines, and gave them to Zinai. Then the few people sat down and asked about what happened recently. After listening to Zinai's words, Leng Yu was still frightened and held her hand tightly. The situation was urgent at that time. "Why didn't you contact me? Sister, there was no way. I was trapped by them, and that bug was so disgusting that I couldn't solve it at all. If it weren't for Ziotu's help, I would have. Zinayu suddenly felt very ashamed. How could she not even be as good as Ziotu's cultivation? It was a pity that she had practiced hard day and night for these years. She was really sorry for the teachings of her elders and sister. Where are the previous letters? Take them out and show them to me. Hearing Bai Luo's question, Zinayu quickly took out the letter hidden in her waist. After spreading it on the table, with her permission, the few people sat down at the table without hesitation. After reading it carefully, Len Yu frowned and asked, "What do you think? This letter is forged and looks very authentic. It should be very similar to the handwriting of a minister in your place, right? Otherwise, Zinayu would not have gone out so easily." After resolving the contradiction, Bao Yangchen also regained his usual calmness and analyzed things in a very logical way. Yes, the handwriting on it is almost exactly the same as Lord Zao's. Because of this, I went out after receiving the letter, but I never thought that I would be ambushed. Zinayu clenched her fists angrily. Do you still remember what those people look like? Tell me in detail. Benny Minglan turned his head and glanced at her. Then she slid her finger, and a translucent mirror appeared in the air. She explained to everyone. According to what you said, I will depict the appearance of those people on the Zuan mirror. If those people are people I have seen before, or have registered in other countries, and have been active outside, I will find out their origins. Is there such a magical thing? Bai Luo was very impressed. This ability seemed a bit against the sky. It felt better than the modern method of tracking criminals. And there is no need to use gene sequences, just look at people's appearance. Could it be that the people in these countries look very distinctive, and there is no situation where people look alike? Zinayu described it carefully, and Teoti was still beside him, supplementing it based on their smell and martial arts. Afterwards, Benny Minglan depicted 3 people on the Zuan mirror. After some investigation, he said, these are people from Yan country and Xiling country. They formed a mercenary team before, and accepted missions from several countries. They are relatively famous. In other words, the people who ambushed me from behind are from these 2 countries? Sister, what should I do now? If they dare to attack me, does it mean that Kanglang country will also be in danger? Zinayu nervously grabbed Leng Gai's hand. Then should we go back and take charge right now? Boss, what do you think? Len Yu turned around and looked at Bai Luo with a pleading look. My condition is not very good now. My sister is still young and cannot command all the soldiers of Kanglang country. I wonder if you can ask me to go and take charge. Don't worry, as long as you are willing to help our Kanglang country, we can discuss any requests in the future and will never let you suffer any loss. What's the use of me going? Isn't this a conflict between your 4 countries? They want to target you 2 sisters. It has nothing to do with me. Bai Luo found her request a little difficult to understand and spread his hands. He is an outsider and doesn't know much about the disputes among these countries. The reason why he was involved recently was because Len Yu and Ao Yangchen had a conflict, and he, as a boss, had to mediate. Read the error-free version at 69 book bar. 6 equals 9 plus BOOK_BAR released this novel for the first time. Otherwise, many of the employees he had trained with great difficulty would run away. What would happen to the operation of the internet cafe? Should he find a new group of people to train carefully? How much time would that waste? Boss, we all know that you are the most powerful among us. Zinayu carefully glanced at Benny Minglan's face and said with courage, if the boss is willing to help us, when the Kanglang Kingdom branch is officially opened, we are willing to invite the country's dignitaries and wealthy gentry to come and support us with the greatest sincerity. Kanglang Kingdom is actually quite powerful, and there are many rich people. I believe that the boss's goal will be achieved in a short time. Are you deliberately bribing me? Bai Luo knocked on the table, looking a little embarrassed. But at this moment, he communicated with the system in his mind. People took the initiative to find me. This is not considered cheating, right? The system snorted lazily. As long as the host operates with integrity, don't deliberately induce customers to spend lavishly like before. This is easy. In order to complete the turnover as soon as possible, so as to have a better life than traveling and playing in the mountains and rivers, Bai Luo agreed without much thought. Okay, I can go and take a look, but you also know my methods. I'm always rough. What if I'm not careful? It's okay, we can go and deal with the rest. As long as we suppress their arrogance first, my sister and I can go to the negotiations in the future. Xinyu quickly expressed her opinion. Although her sister had not told her the truth yet, she could see that her sister's condition was indeed not very good. After returning to the internet cafe, she also ate some energy-rich foods. Why is she still so sick now? Did something happen to her when she went to Xiangsuan country this time? Chapter 94, Ferocious Beast Attack. Okay, since you are so sincere, then I agree, but who will go with me? I don't know much about the situation in Kanglang country. Sister, you go with the boss. Leng Yu gently touched her head. She was reluctant to leave the little rabbit and wanted to find an opportunity to explain to it what was going on with the child in her belly, so she pushed Xinyu out. You know the situation in the country very well, and if you come forward, the ministers will not embarrass the boss. Take me with you, I will go too. Receiving Liang Chen's hint, Liang Zhu jumped out immediately. I know medical skills. If you two encounter any problems, I can help. Bai Luo thought about it. He and Xinyu both knew a little about medical skills. Although Liang Zhu might only be half-baked in front of the real genius doctor, she was much more reliable than him and Xinyu. He could only rely on the help of the system to help treat the disease. It was indeed better to have Liang Zhu by his side, so he had to agree. Then, he turned his head and looked at Betty Minglan. I'll leave the store to you, okay? I believe you can do it. Just be a little gentle when you meet customers and don't beat them half to death if you don't agree with them. As long as they don't offend me, I won't do that. Betty Minglan said coldly. Okay, I'll tell you about the arrangements later. If you are really too busy, you can also find some part-time jobs outside. Facing the puzzled eyes of the crowd, Bai Luo could only helplessly explain to them what part-time work meant, and then asked the system to prepare enough food, drinks, and daily necessities for them for at least a month, and planned to go and see the next day to avoid more trouble. Betty Minglan agreed very happily. She had always doubted whether Leng Yu's previous words were true, and she also wanted to use secret methods to explore. Leng Yu was the king of a country after all, and he had probably worn a mask on his face for many years. Even in the face of her probing eyes, he remained calm, so he had to use extraordinary means. At dawn the next day, Bai Luo pulled Liang Zhu, who was still rubbing her eyes, off the bed, and quietly boarded his shuttle with Xinyu, intending to go and take a look. This was specially prepared for him by the system, after he described it. It still looked like a small spaceship, but it would be more stable when driving, which was Xinayu's suggestion. He planned to go slower along the way, and by the way, see if there would be any trouble on the road, and he could help deal with it. Bai Luo agreed with her approach, and it was not that there was no connection with the Kanglang kingdom nearby, or the two countries were doing business. If they really found something strange, they could solve it in time on the road. As expected of being trained by Leng Yu, he really looked like a leader of a country. But who knew that they had only traveled 200 or 300 miles and had not yet appeared in the border of the Kanglang kingdom. When they were close to the border, Xinyu suddenly found that there were many people moving very slowly on the ground. She quickly stopped them. Boss, come and have a look. Are those civilians below? Why are they moving so slowly? Did something happen to them? They are all injured. Bai Luo's cultivation was much higher than hers, and his eyesight was extremely sharp. He could tell at a glance that the civilians below seemed to be avoiding being chased. But they seemed to be exhausted, and even if they took great pains to avoid being chased, their speed was quite slow in their rise. Then let's go and have a look. They have all appeared at the border, and they may be the people of our Kanglang country. I can't just sit there and watch. Xinyu was about to jump down, and Bai Luo certainly couldn't just ignore it, so he could only control the shuttle to slow down. However, just as he put the shuttle away and put it in his sleeve pocket, he found a very strong smell of blood around him. He quickly threw out a white ribbon from his sleeve and wrapped it around Liang Zhu's arm, then turned his head and looked at her seriously. There may be big trouble later. You hold this ribbon tightly. If you can't beat them, hide behind me. Don't come out to make trouble. I know. Gao Yangzu understood that her cultivation was average. If she really encountered a very powerful enemy later, if she ran out, she would only die, and it would also cause trouble for Bai Luo and the others. So it would be better to be honest and not rush forward. When he appeared with Xinyu, he only heard a fierce roar from behind, and countless strange looking animals actually rushed towards those ordinary people, but completely ignored them. What's going on? Is there a beast tied nearby? There is no strange smell on those people. Xinyu found it difficult to understand. Could it be that the beast wants to eat? Gao Yangzu asked curiously. But it's not the end of winter, and they haven't hibernated yet. Don't worry about that. Saving people is the most important thing. Come with me and prepare the most powerful protective magic weapon. Bai Luo interrupted them. I know. After years of training outside, Xinyu still has at least some reaction ability and immediately activated her battle armor. Read the error-free version at 69 book bar. 6 equals 9 plus book bar's first novel. She unfolded the big golden wings that came with the battle armor and whoosh slapped away to slightly smaller beasts. Then she immediately swung out 2 whips that were more than 10 meters long in her right hand and shouted to the frightened civilians below, "Quick, grab the whip. I'll take you out of this encirclement. Hurry up." Bai Luo's speed was faster than her. He waved his hand and a huge bronze bowl appeared on the ground. After the bowl rolled on the ground for a few times, it put all the people who were still avoiding the pursuit of the beasts below into the bowl, and then he quickly grabbed the bowl and fled into the air. But some beasts have wings. When they found that their food had been rescued, they roared and chased after them. You take Yangzu and go first. I'll cover you. Bai Luo loosened his hand, untied the ribbon that had just been wrapped around Yangzu, and pushed them hard from behind. Xinyu also knew that this was not the time to fight, so she quickly grabbed one of Yangzu's arms, tied her to the whip, and moved forward at a high speed. Bai Luo then turned around in the air and smiled arrogantly. I'll have some fun with you. As he said this, he swung his hand and immediately threw out a large piece of blue-white smoke. This smoke bomb is very corrosive and confusing. The beast that was chasing him just now was suddenly covered in the face by the smoke and instantly felt that he couldn't open his eyes. A large amount of morning glory pollen was used in this smoke. For a beast of this size, it would be like being drunk after just a few breaths, and it would fall from the air in a daze. Thanks to their thick skin, they were not smashed into the mud. Chapter 95. The Daoist bloodline appears. Seeing the beast being stopped, Bai Luo immediately increased his flying speed to the extreme and successfully caught up with Xinyu and the others within a quarter of an hour. Gao Yangzu had already settled all the people on the ground. They looked languid and in a bad mood. After examining them, Gao Yangzu's expression was very solemn. Bai Luo, they have all been attacked by the beast. Come and take a look. They all have many wounds on their bodies, but I can't cure them with my current ability. Bai Luo came forward to take a closer look and found that the wounds were all poisonous. He suggested, why don't we take them back to the internet cafe first? Betty Minglan is there. Her medical skills should be better than ours. Although Yangzu didn't want to admit that Betty Minglan was more beautiful than her, had a better figure than her, and had such outstanding medical skills, this was also a fact. Moreover, although she had a bit of a temper, she was still very sympathetic to the people. She didn't want to see so many people die in front of her, so she could only agree reluctantly. But we just came out. Xinyu was very worried. They haven't even returned to Kanglang country yet, and something happened again. They have to go back. How much time will it take to go back and forth? It's okay, it won't take long. Just tell them what happened outside, so that they can be prepared earlier. Since I promised you, I will go to Kanglang country to take a look. I will never go back on my word. Bai Luo was very serious when he was dealing with things seriously, and Xinyu felt relieved instantly. Every time he showed this expression, he was very reassuring and was a very reliable person. She could only agree. This time, in order to ensure that the poison in these people's bodies would not spread, he increased the speed of the shuttle to the extreme. Everyone was anxious and didn't care about so much. But in just over an hour, the shuttle stopped outside the internet cafe. Daoist was still in the yard at this time. Suddenly, he saw the familiar shuttle stopped. He was quite confused and called out twice in the direction of the shuttle. Hearing the noise, Benny Minglan ran out quickly. The internet cafe had officially opened for business. Bai Luo first arranged Zinayu and Aoyangzu to help greet the guests. He quickly shrunk the shuttle and brought it to the staff dormitory that was temporarily prepared for them in the backyard. He called Benny Minglan over. Come and help them. We didn't go far this time when something happened. After he explained the whole thing, Benny Minglan put down all his actions and carefully checked them. Then he turned his head and looked at him seriously. I detected the breath of Teoti on them. But the cultivation of these ordinary people is too low, and Teoti is an ancient beast. Once bitten by it, the possibility of survival is very low. Teoti's saliva is poisonous. Even you can't do it? Aoyangzu said she couldn't solve it herself, so we came to you for help. Bai Luo pleaded. I can try, but I can't guarantee that they can all survive. They might even cause trouble later. Yang Chen's ability to read people's expressions was better than the others. Seeing that Bai Luo looked very serious after returning, he quickly found an opportunity to run over. Seeing that Benny Minglan was casting spells to help treat the people, he took the initiative to ask after finding an opportunity. Senior, I can help, but what's wrong with these patients? Now, just by looking at the naked eye, you can see that when Benny Minglan was helping to treat these patients, all the blood flowing out of their wounds was black, and there was a smell of corrosion in the air. It was obvious that the injuries were serious. We found them at the border, and there were some ferocious beasts chasing them behind. Bai Luo explained what happened just now. Because of Leng Yu's physical condition and the matter involved the border of Kangalang country, he asked Zinayu to watch the internet cafe first, and ran over by himself. She thought for a while, then asked hesitantly, Boss, do you think there will be greater dangers near the border? Although we in Xiangsuan have stationed a lot of troops on the border over the years, we are worried about each other. But because of this, the border is peaceful, and no one dares to mess around. But the beasts attacked them. I saw that the beasts had red eyes. I don't know if something stimulated them. I haven't been there yet, so I don't know what the situation is like in Kangalang country now. Bai Luo was also confused. If you are really targeted by other countries, we can actually send troops to rescue you. Bao Yangchen thought for a while and took the initiative to speak. But we need benefits to send troops to support you. That's natural. If Kangalang country is really in danger now, and Xiangsuan country is willing to help us regardless of past grudges, you can ask for anything in the future. We won't bargain. Leng Yu was very grateful. It's like we are deliberately blackmailing you. Yang Chen's attitude was very ordinary when facing Leng Yu alone. Read the error-free version at 69 book bar. 6 equals 9 plus BOOK_BAR is the first to publish this novel. In addition, Leng Yu misunderstood what he meant just now, and her face suddenly turned cold. We just don't want the people to suffer for no reason. We are very conscientious people in Xiangsuan country. What should we do now? Alas, I'm afraid that my internet cafe will have to be closed for a few more days. No one knows what the situation is like in front. We may have to split into 2 groups and go to see it first. After all, there are only a few of us. Bai Luo interrupted them. He sighed again that the internet cafe was too short of staff. Before, he thought that if there were too few people, the monthly salary would be too high, and he was reluctant to do it. Now he realized that it was really not possible to have too few people. Close it for a while first. Don't worry, boss. I will make up for all the losses during this period later. I will never let you suffer. Okay, everyone pack up, and we will go out after the internet cafe closes tonight. Let these people have a good rest for a while. Okay, why not send them to the border first? I have acquaintances there, and I can ask them to help take care of them. Leng Yu suggested. Bai Luo nodded, explained, and then made a series of plans for the rest, and began to prepare various things needed when going out. He had a feeling that the crisis he would face this time would be unprecedentedly serious. And according to what Leng Yu said, the border was not turbulent, so what about those beasts? Could it be that someone was deliberately controlling them behind the scenes? Several hours passed quickly after the guests left and the internet cafe was cleaned up. They found that under Bai Luo's treatment, the conditions of these people had improved a lot. At least the wounds no longer shed black blood. Bai Luo's face also eased a little, and he finally felt relieved. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 96, Leaving the Team. After the few people took enough things, Bai Luo asked Leng Yu to settle the people first, and planned to go to Kanglang country, to take a closer look at what happened. But halfway through the journey, Gao Yangzu took the initiative to suggest that they separate from them, and rush to Kanglang country from two different places. In case Zinayu and the others encountered trouble, they could still go in from another direction, and keep in touch at any time. Bai Luo certainly had no objection. After sending them a message talisman, he led people to go from another place. But after he led Yang Chen and the others to travel for dozens of miles, he temporarily stopped the shuttle. When he was about to invite everyone to eat something to replenish energy, he checked inside the shuttle and found that the little rabbit was gone. He hurriedly asked, "Have you seen the little rabbit? Didn't I carry it up before?" "Yes, I saw it just now. It was curled up in the corner and sleeping. Isn't it fine?" Yang Chen stood up unexpectedly. However, everyone turned the shuttle upside down and found that there was no trace of the little rabbit. They were all stunned. Bai Luo couldn't help but sigh. Forget it, it's probably greedy for all the goodies left in the internet cafe, so it quietly escaped back. He knew the ability of the little rabbit, and just now he left a small hole in the shuttle for ventilation. Who knows if the little rabbit shrunk its body and slipped back. "Senior, why don't I go and take a look? I'm worried about leaving the little rabbit alone in the internet cafe." Yang Chen took the initiative to say. "Then you go, pay attention to safety. If there is anything, send me a communication talisman. If you can't catch up with us, you go to meet up with Yangzu and the others, and take care of them by the way." Yang Chen nodded in agreement, and quickly got off the shuttle and headed towards the direction of the internet cafe. At first, Bai Luo didn't take the little rabbit's departure to heart, thinking that with its ability, and now in the form of a dog, it wouldn't be a big problem, unless it met someone who really liked to eat dog meat. It can just pretend to be a pig, and eat the tiger. If someone wants to deal with the little rabbit, who will be unlucky in the end? But what they didn't expect was that the reason why Teoti left was because he was worried that Bai Luo would find out the truth about the injuries of the people and hold him accountable. It is an ancient fierce beast with its own unique ability to perceive everything, and it is very familiar with the fierce beasts in the forest. It can know what happened with just a casual question, but it didn't know what position to explain the matter to him clearly, so it could only hide first. Yang Chen went back to the internet cafe and looked around, but didn't find any trace of the little rabbit. But when he sent a message to Bai Luo and the others, he found that they had run far ahead. With his current cultivation, even if he drove the shuttle at full speed, it would probably take a day or two to catch up. He could only contact Yangzu and the others. He found that they had not walked far, so he had to decide to go with them. But this time, when he took Yangzu forward, Bai Luo did not take the road closest to the Kanglang kingdom directly, but kept checking nearby to see if there was any Teoti aura. Yangzu was eager to have further attainments in medical skills, and she didn't think that the two of them could compare with Bai Luo and his team with their abilities, so she naturally hoped to gain more on the way, so she didn't stop her. It wasn't until her brother caught up with them, and they searched the area carefully, that Bai Luo suddenly looked at Yang Chen. "Have you noticed the breath of Teoti around here? Although it's not so pure, it does exist. I sensed it. I also noticed it when you were helping to treat those people before. But they are all ordinary people. How could they be targeted by the ancient beasts?" Yang Chen didn't understand. They were now above a forest. The forest where Teoti lived before was much larger than they imagined, and it bordered several surrounding countries, and even had several underground rivers. Teoti was mad at the time, and had close relationships with many nearby beasts. Later, some beasts gave birth to the next generation, and gave birth to many hybrids. These were the ones that attacked the people before. It's hard to say, maybe it's controlled by humans. Let's make a mark nearby. Dao Yangchen followed her advice. Moreover, the forest is full of dangers. Now there are only 3 of them, and he definitely doesn't dare to take risks easily. After Teoti went back alone, he went to all kinds of very dangerous places, and he felt very uncomfortable. After Leng Yu came back, she found time to tell it that she was pregnant. At that time, Teoti was so nervous that he didn't even know how to breathe, and was particularly worried that Bai Luo would find out and come back to trouble him. Read the error-free version at 69 book bar. 6 equals 9 plus BOOK_BAR released this novel for the first time. It has lived for so many years, except that it can't transform into a human form very smoothly now. It knows a lot of things very well, and it also knows that its behavior at that time was really a bastard, and Bai Luo should not forgive itself. After all, there is a difference between humans and animals. In the past tens of thousands of years, there are only a handful of hybrid beasts born from humans and animals that have survived to adulthood safely, and most of them will be despised by people. It doesn't want to end up like that, but because of its strong bloodline, it has never had offspring with other species over the years. Now that it has found a human with its own blood, it is reluctant to give up, and on the other hand, it is worried that Leng Yu will have a hard time giving birth because of its strong bloodline. But Leng Yu didn't care. After telling Teoti about her pregnancy, she even hugged it and said tenderly, "This is also my first time to give birth to a child. I know it may be difficult, but I have never thought of giving up. We will be one in the future. Don't worry, I will do my best to make the child born smoothly." Teoti was very moved. At its age, if it were a human, it would probably have children and grandchildren. This is the first time that a human is willing to say this to it, and even take the risk of regressing his own cultivation to give birth to offspring for it. It is very moved. Although it usually behaves in a nonchalant manner and looks particularly unreliable, it still hopes that there will be someone willing to form a family with it. It just didn't consider humans before. This complex feeling made it completely unacceptable, so it could only choose to escape and walk alone outside, hoping to spend more time to digest this ridiculous thing. The two sides acted separately, and after marking here, Benny Minglan and his team took the shuttle again, intending to enter from the northernmost part of Kanglang country. It is said that it is a relatively barren place for them, and there is a large area of glaciers all year round. If there is a riot of fierce beasts, it may be very dangerous there. They have to check the situation first. Chapter 97, Xinayu disappears. Bai Luo was moving very fast, and since he was worried about the Kanglang kingdom, no one mentioned taking a rest. It didn't take long for him to arrive at Kanglang kingdom. However, it was almost the same as the last time. Bai Luo deliberately slowed down the speed of the shuttle, and after taking them around in the air, he took the initiative to ask the two Lengayu sisters next to him, "What's going on? Is there anything wrong?" "It doesn't seem to be." The two looked at the movement below quietly through the window on the shuttle. The Imperial City was very stable, and the ministers were also handling the matters at hand in an orderly manner. The people were doing their own things. The country was peaceful, and there was no sign of troops from other countries stationed there. There shouldn't be any problems. That's good. Maybe the beast disturbance on the border was just a coincidence. Are you relieved now? But since we are here, the first internet cafe is now closed and can't make money. Why don't you two go and open the branch store to the public? I can't keep losing money. I'm still a long way from my turnover target. Bai Luo came back to take a look, and now they were in their own country. The Lengayu sisters were obviously relieved, and he quickly took people down. Lengayu quickly took Xinayu to go over the business model of the internet cafe again, and then asked Xinayu to recruit customers for the branch store and see if there were any talents to stay here and manage the branch business with her in the future. As for Bai Luo, he went to the homes of several very important ministers with Lengayu to see if there were any strange things happening recently. Xinayu knew the importance of the internet cafe, so she naturally agreed. Considering Lengayu's current health, Bai Luo went with her when he went to inspect other ministers' homes, and he didn't see Xinayu for 3 or 4 days in a row. Unexpectedly, Xinayu never came back. after she was ordered to manage the internet cafe branch, and there was no news for several days. At first, he didn't want to urge her, thinking that she was still in the territory of Kangalang country, and even if she hadn't aggressively recruited customers yet, it might be because Zenai was planning a more active money-making plan. Unexpectedly, the system kept urging him. Host, I told you before that we are still a long way from achieving your sales target. Why don't you worry about it at all? Don't we already have 2 internet cafes? And this time we came out because something happened in Kangalang country. I can't just ignore it. Host, I want to remind you very seriously. The system's voice was cold and emotionless. As long as the internet cafe is in this area, rent will be generated. You put the internet cafe here, but don't open it to the public. You have to charge interest to attract customers. You should think it over. Why? You pushed me forward step by step to open the internet cafe and the branch. What do you want to do? Am I your slave? Bai Luo was very unhappy. He always felt that the system was cunning and that it was completely out of his imagination. Anyway, I will calculate the interest on a daily basis. If the host disagrees, the interest will be compounded in the future. I guess you can't pay it back, even if you sell yourself. You will have no freedom in the future. Bai Luo didn't know how he had such bad luck that he was brought here by the system and was so deeply tied to the internet cafe. But without the help of the system, his abilities would probably be taken back. In such a world of immortal cultivation, he would probably be snapped if he met a fierce beast. In desperation, he was forced to go to the branch to take a look. However, he took a closer look and found that the branch was quiet and there seemed to be no trace of Zenai. Leng Yu was even more frightened, and the Teoti blood in her stomach began to move restlessly. Although she was still young, the power of this ancient beast should not be underestimated. She instantly turned pale with pain and grabbed Bai Luo's sleeve tightly. Boss, what should I do? Where is my sister? She didn't give me any news. Didn't she promise me that she would attract enough customers for me? Could she go to meet those dignitaries and invite them to the internet cafe? Do you have any directions? Take us to have a look. Bai Luo was not particularly worried at first. He felt that the Kangalang kingdom was previously managed by the 2 sisters, and nothing serious would happen. Then let's go to the homes of the 2 prime ministers first, and the old master. They are all regents who were personally instructed by my sister and me before we left. They have been assisting us since my grandfather's generation. They have many disciples in the Kangalang kingdom, and have great abilities. Leng Yu tried to be calm. Okay, I'll go with you, and lead the way. Bai Luo nodded. Then, he quickly gave Leng Yu a pill that could stabilize the pregnancy. Be careful, tell me if you feel uncomfortable, and we'll rest first. Got it, thank you, boss. Leng Yu swallowed the pill in one gulp, and the majestic energy began to flow through her body, finally calming the restless child. Read the error-free version at 69 book bar. 6 equals 9 plus BOOK_BAR first published this novel. She touched her belly and finally breathed a sigh of relief and hurried to the left prime minister's house. The 2 of them were wearing invisible armor and their cultivation was very advanced. Bai Luo also specially pasted a talisman on her head that could hide her breath, so she had no obstacles all the way. Soon, under the leadership of Leng Yu, they appeared in the most secret study room in the left prime minister's house. The 2 of them were wearing armor, and he used the magic of shrinking the earth into an inch, recited 2 mantras, and easily got in through the crack of the window. Then, he hid beside the desk. The study of the left prime minister was very lively. In addition to him, there were several ministers who were very familiar to Leng Yu. They were all highly valued by her in the past, and had considerable power in various aspects. She took a look and her face suddenly changed. Bai Luo probably knew what Leng Yu was thinking. He gently clasped her shoulders and whispered to her, be patient and don't arouse the suspicion of these people. Leng Yu gritted her teeth and agreed. At this time, the left prime minister spoke. I have already explained to you what I want to say today. What do you think? There have been very few female emperors in the Kangalang kingdom in the past 1000 years, and the Leng Yu sisters are still young. How can they take on such a great responsibility? The son of the left prime minister immediately stood up and said respectfully, Father, you are a veteran of 3 dynasties. Even the emperor has to be respectful in front of you. Father, when the two sisters left, they took away half of your power and gave it to other ministers. Isn't this deliberately guarding against you? How unfair it is to you. Chapter 98, Crisis. Yes, Prime Minister, with your ability, it would be very easy to control the entire Kanglang Kingdom. Why do you have to listen to two little girls? The disciple of the left Prime Minister echoed. Even though Leng Yu had heard many people say that her ability was not as good as that of the previous female emperors over the years, she still felt very uncomfortable when she saw these people's extremely flattering faces when facing the left Prime Minister today, and they criticized her for nothing. Fortunately, no one could see their expressions at this time, or she would have slapped these people to death. Through this period of time, Bai Luo also got to know Leng Yu better and knew that she was very dedicated to the Kanglang Kingdom. But these people didn't take her seriously just because she was a woman. What kind of explanation was this? Since everyone supports me, why not follow my plan? To be honest, I have also raised some troops outside over the years and have been training them hard for many years, just waiting for the opportunity to rise up. If everyone is willing to stand on my side, I will definitely not treat you unfairly when I accomplish great things in the future. The left Prime Minister was quite steady in front of outsiders. In addition, he had assisted several generations of monarchs. Leng Yu had trusted him very much before, but she didn't expect that he would dare to raise troops in private. If Bai Luo hadn't held her tightly, he would probably have slapped the left Prime Minister on the head. We all listened to the Prime Minister. The minister said respectfully, "Okay, this is the deposit. Please accept it first." The left Prime Minister clapped his hands, and immediately several men in heavy armor walked in, each holding a large tray in his hand. The left Prime Minister waved his hand, and the ministers were dazzled by the flash of the top-grade spirit stones on the tray. They all had power and influence, and they had ways to amass wealth over the years. They had seen a lot of spirit stones, but there were so many of them, which made their eyes light up. Everyone, keep them first. I spent a lot of effort to collect these spirit stones from outside. They will be of great benefit to your cultivation. Our emperor would not be willing to give you such a generous reward, right? The left Prime Minister was very proud. Of course, one of the ministers greedily took the tray and said to the direction of the palace with a look of disgust. The emperor keeps saying that the treasury of Kanglang country is not rich now and asks us to bear more, and he will not treat us unfairly when it develops. But I have been an official for more than 20 years, and I have not even received a piece of top-grade spirit stone. This is too much. That's right. We have devoted our lives to Kanglang country, but the emperor is still wary of us. Don't think we don't know that for her sister's cultivation, she has been looking for various natural treasures for her sister in various places over the years. Is Zinai worthy of those things? Why can't we have them? The left Prime Minister looked at the indignation of these ministers and was very satisfied. After comforting them a few more words, he pointed out the various treasures prepared for them in addition to the top-grade spirit stones. This chai and mang ginseng can treat eye diseases after eating. You may not need it, but relatives at home who need it can use it. There is also the effect of the Dali pill. I don't need to say it, everyone knows it in their hearts. Thank you, Prime Minister. The gift sent by the left Prime Minister this time really touched their hearts. The value of this gift is more than their official salary for 20 years. The greedy ministers were bribed in an instant. After the left Prime Minister asked his son to send those people away, he narrowed his eyes happily. Leng Yu has been watching the scenes in the study room, and his temples are aching from anger. After sending the people away, the two sons of the left Prime Minister came forward and took out two things from the storage bag and handed them to him. Bai Luo took a closer look, narrowed his eyes slightly, and said to Leng Yu in a voice transmission, "That doesn't look like a specialty of your Kanglang country. There are some words carved on it." After Leng Yu took a closer look, his heart skipped a beat, and he said to him, "This is a specialty of Yang country and Xiling country. I mean, how could this old man suddenly be so generous and take out so many top-grade spirit stones? It seems that he has been bribed by those two countries a long time ago. My father trusts him so much, how can he deserve his current position? He just called so many ministers over. I guess those people will be instigated by him, right?" You are in great danger now, Bai Luo said dimly. Leng Yu suddenly thought of her sister and asked anxiously, boss, my sister was not captured by them, was she? She is a sensible child. We agreed a long time ago that we must contact each other every 2 days, except when we are in seclusion for cultivation. It is very likely that they want to imprison your sister and use it to threaten you. Let's find out where your sister is now. Leng Yu nodded vigorously and took him to the right Prime Minister and the old National Master. But he was surprised to find that the left Prime Minister and the old National Master were actually bribed, and the people behind the scenes were all from Xiling country and Yan country. Leng Yu wanted to tear them into pieces. Read the error-free version at 69 book bar. 6 equals 9 plus BOOK_BAR published this novel for the first time. Thinking of what Leng Yu said, the most experienced among these people is the old National Master, an old guy who has lived for hundreds of years. Bai Luo quickly tried to hide in the National Master's mansion and find out if Zinai was here first. This old guy may have thought about what would happen if he was bribed by the other 2 countries and was discovered by Leng Yu. The martial law in the Imperial Master's mansion has been very strict recently. If it weren't for the profound skills of the 2 men and Bai Luo's protection, they would have been discovered by the masters of the mansion long ago. Taking advantage of the night, Bai Luo and his friends explored it, but did not find any powerful secret passages in the Imperial Master's mansion. They could only take out one thing from the storage bag. This was also what he had just spent a lot of time to ask the system to lend it to him, but he still charged him a lot of rent, which really made him feel bad. Boss, what is this? Leng Yu looked at Bai Luo holding a porcelain that looked like a pillow and was very surprised. This thing is called the dream pillow. No matter if it's a human or an animal, as long as they fall asleep on it, they will be guided by it to appear in the deepest dream. I will find a way to let the Imperial Master sleep on this pillow later. As long as he falls asleep, we can explore his dream and maybe find where your sister is. And this is a potion made from blue butterfly flowers, which can bring out the things that people care about most in their hearts. You and I will stand guard by the side later. Remember, be careful and don't let anyone find out. After Bai Luo finished explaining, Leng Yu nodded vigorously. Her sister was the family member she cared about most, and she would never allow those old guys to harm her. Chapter 99. Zinai's whereabouts. As the night deepened, the Imperial Master finally came out of his study. After stretching his muscles a bit, he returned to his bedroom. The 2 followed him in stealthily without disturbing anyone. The Imperial Master's room was much simpler than that of the left Prime Minister. The old man was indeed hiding deeper. At this moment, there was only a slightly older maid in the room. After helping the Imperial Master lie down on the bed, he waved his hand and asked the maid to keep watch outside. He rolled over on the bed twice and soon fell into a deep sleep. Bai Luo couldn't help but complain. You are not young anymore, but your sleep quality is good. Come on, help me. Boss, how do I use this dream pillow? Leng Yu had never seen such a treasure before, so she was inevitably a little scared. There are many treasures in this old Imperial Master's house. Will he find them? Don't worry, I know what's going on. Help me keep an eye on it, and don't let anyone break in. Leng Yu nodded vigorously, reached out to the weapon on his waist, and scanned the movement outside very vigilantly. Bai Luo placed the dream pillow next to the Imperial Master's pillow, muttering something. The Imperial Master's room was naturally heavily guarded, and there were many patrols coming and going outside. Fortunately, his concealment spell worked well, and there was no flash of light when the dream pillow was working, but there were wisps of translucent smoke slowly floating into the air. He stretched out his hand very neatly to set up a barrier and controlled the smoke to 1 meter around the Imperial Master. After about a quarter of an hour, the effect of the dream pillow was fully exerted. He called Leng Yu over and whispered, put one hand on the middle of his forehead, and ask what you want to know. I understand. Leng Yu took a deep breath and asked directly, where is Zinai now? After saying that, she watched the Imperial Master's movements vigilantly. Unexpectedly, this dream pillow was really a good treasure. As soon as she finished speaking, the Imperial Master frowned. Just when Leng Yu was worried that he would wake up and was almost scared to death, the Imperial Master suddenly spoke, in the secret room. Where is the secret room? How to get in? Leng Yu asked immediately. The hollow vase on the table in the south study. Turn left 3 times. Without time to think for a while, Bai Luo immediately sent a voice message to Leng Yu. Ask him if there are any traps in the secret room of the study and how many people are responsible for watching it. Leng Yu nodded. After all, she had been in the position of the king for a long time. She had experienced many such open and secret attacks over the years. She was at least alert. She quickly asked several questions in succession according to what Bai Luo had just told her. It's almost time. The time for the dream pillow is limited. Let's go and rescue your sister immediately. Leng Yu nodded. Bai Luo waved his hand and put the dream pillow back into his storage bag. He took Leng Yu and quickly slipped out through the gap in the window. The area of the Imperial Master's mansion is quite considerable, and there are 4 study rooms in the southeast, northwest, and northeast. They are not set up according to the ordinary directions. It seems that some strange techniques are hidden. Leng Yu didn't know how to do this, and Bai Luo didn't know much about it either. She spent some time using magic to confuse a servant of the Imperial Master's mansion who had a lower level of cultivation than her, and only then did she figure out where the southern study was, and successfully sneaked in. However, it still took a lot of effort to deal with the guard at the door. But he was the one who did it almost all the time, and Bai Luo was worried that Leng Yu's body couldn't bear it. After entering, he followed what he had just asked from the Imperial Master, and walked to the hollow vase on the table. Leng Yu was about to take action, but Bai Luo held her down. Be careful, I'll do it. As he said that, he armed the armor to his fingertips. Sure enough, as soon as he touched the vase, he heard a very subtle sound. Leng Yu was extremely surprised. When he moved forward, he was shocked to find that the gloves of his armor were actually a little corroded. Bai Luo sent her a message. Fortunately, I was well prepared. The gloves of this battle armor are 2 layers. This vase has a very strong corrosive effect. I guess the old man was also very alert in his sleep and didn't tell you. Then, according to Leng Yu's instructions, he turned around 3 times and looked around quickly. The study room was not large, about 10 meters long and wide. After they turned around twice, they saw that the wall slowly left a crack. Fortunately, the sound of the startup was quite low and did not alarm the people outside. Bai Luo waved at Leng Yu, and the 2 rushed in quickly. Read the error-free version at 69 book bar. 6 equals 9 plus BOOK_BAR released this novel for the first time. As soon as I came in, I smelled a bad smell, as if a lot of wormwood was burned. Leng Yu frowned, but it was not the Dragon Boat Festival now. Where did this smell come from? Be careful, the smell in the air is somewhat toxic. Don't breathe too much. Bai Luo waved his hand and put a mask on her face. Leng Yu nodded gratefully and walked carefully behind him. It was unknown how big this underground secret room was. As soon as they entered, they saw a long passage in front of them that was almost bottomless, with several square rooms on each side. The entire secret room was crisscrossed. Leng Yu was about to use her spiritual sense to see where her sister was imprisoned, but Bai Luo stopped her. Don't use your spiritual sense. This place is a bit strange, and there are very ferocious beasts imprisoned in it. Don't alarm them. Leng Yu stopped immediately. Both of them were transparent at this moment. In order to ensure that there was no mistake, Bai Luo deliberately took Leng Yu and moved slowly in the air. According to the induction of the 2 sisters, he groped towards the direction of Xinyu. But Xinyu was injured when she was caught, and she was still in a coma, unable to communicate with Leng Yu through blood. She spent a long time trying to find a place close to Xinyu, and sent a message to Bai Luo. Boss, Xinyu should be nearby, but I feel a very strong pressure. Is it the beast you just mentioned? I'm afraid it is. Swallow this antidote. He moved his hand, and a black pill appeared at the tip of Leng Yu's nose. Smelling the strong smell, she couldn't help but retching. But she also knew that Bai Luo had never thought of harming her all the way here, so she could only grit her teeth and swallow the pill into her mouth, and soon she felt a sour and astringent taste in her mouth. I don't know how strong the beast is. In order not to alarm outsiders, I plan to knock it out first. What I gave you just now is the antidote. After Bai Luo explained briefly, he moved his fingers, and a large cloud of black smoke quickly spread out in this space. Leng Yu didn't know what the smoke was, she just leaned against him tightly, not daring to breathe. If it were usual, she would still dare to fight, but now that she had the blood of the little rabbit in her belly, she didn't dare to act recklessly. Chapter 100, Civil Unrest in the Kangalang country. And she hadn't found her sister yet, so she couldn't put herself in danger. Just about 10 meters away from them, there was a cage forged with diamond. The four sides of the cage were more than 1 meter thick, so you can imagine what kind of terrible thing was locked inside. There were only small windows around, and those who usually came here to feed the beast were masters above the giant on stage. Otherwise they would not be able to withstand the pressure of the beast. The smell of corrosive bones mixed with blue yinghua soon floated into the beast's nasal cavity. Half an hour ago, it had just eaten and drunk enough, and did not have a strong sense of resistance to the outside world. Moreover, the two were very careful when they came over, and did not make any noise. After the beast slowly inhaled a lot of smoke, its breathing became heavier and heavier, and it was obvious that it fell into a deep sleep. Bai Luo hurriedly took Leng Yu to search around quickly, and finally successfully found Xinyu. However, the cell where she was imprisoned was bare on all sides, with only a small door for entry and exit. Leng Yu reached out and touched it, and found that this lock was something she had never seen before. She could only look at Bai Luo for help. Boss, what should I do? This seems to be a very unique Lubang lock, and I can't open it. Let me try. You contact your sister first to see if you can wake her up. She is injured. Bai Luo went over to help. Xinyu, who was locked inside, looked pale, with her brows tightly furrowed, and she didn't know whether her Denshin and internal organs were damaged. Leng Yu quickly agreed, and kept calling Xinyu with the secret technique of the Kangalang kingdom, but after a long time, she didn't wake up. It was unknown how this Luban lock was forged. Bai Luo tried for a long time, but couldn't open it. There was really no way, so he could only ask for help from the system. He bought another account on credit, and finally got the key. It took half an hour to finally open the door. He didn't dare to delay, rushed over and hugged Xinyu in his arms, nodded to Leng Yu, I will create chaos later, and put her in the small good temporarily, but I can only guarantee that she can breathe normally within half an hour. You should follow closely, and don't be left alone. Got it, boss, you don't have to worry about me, just take good care of my sister. Leng Yu nodded vigorously. Bai Luo quickly put Xinyu in the purple gold small gourd, and specially opened a hole for her, so that Xinyu lying inside could breathe fresh air. After that, he took Xinyu, and rushed all the way back along the way he had just come. He didn't know how many masters were hiding in this secret room. In order not to be discovered, he used a lot of blue butterfly pollen in the secret room. The smell was very light and sweet, but no matter whether it was a human or a beast, as long as they breathed it, they would feel dizzy, just like being drunk. He scattered a lot of pollen that the system had provided him for free in the air, and fled in a panic. But they didn't know that this secret room was built by the national master at a great price, and the passage of time inside was completely different from that outside. Especially the place where Xinyu was imprisoned just now was carefully selected by him. The two didn't know that they had only stayed in it for an hour, but 2 full days had passed in the outside world. After finally taking Xinyu to a relatively safe mansion that Leng Yu had bought outside, her face was already extremely pale, and her breathing became weaker and weaker. Bai Luo quickly bought a simple oxygen inhalation tool from the system, and after teaching Leng Yu how to use it, he checked Xinyu's whole body. Her external injuries were not serious, but she was hit hard on the chest, her internal organs were damaged, and her spiritual power was also sucked away by someone. I don't know what happened to her. Boss, when will my sister recover? Is she seriously injured? Leng Yu has been holding Xinyu's hand. They are sisters, and they have the most unique sensing ability. She knows that her sister is in danger now. You stay with her first, don't walk around, it's probably a bit chaotic outside. Bai Luo stretched out his hand, and wiped his eyes, untied the shackles on his eyes, and observed the movement outside. But after scanning the center of the Imperial City, he suddenly found that the closer to the palace, the more chaotic the situation was. Many big ones were controlled by a group of people wearing black iron armor, and with very tough means. After he told Leng Yu what the plaques on those people's houses were like, Leng Yu's face changed drastically. Those were all ministers specially arranged by my sister and I to assist in the administration. When we left Kanglang country, they were all right-handed ministers. How could they be targeted by others? I guess it was arranged by the Grand Tutor and the left Prime Minister again. Bai Luo shook his head after taking a look. Read the error-free version at 69 book bar. 6 equals 9 plus BOOK_BAR is the first to publish this novel. It's hopeless. The ministers in charge of these mansions have been dealt with by those people. Now there are only some minions left. What are you going to do? My sister. Leng Yu held the oxygenator in one hand and Zinayu's wrist in the other, and sweat was almost coming down his forehead. Boss, do you have any good ideas? I don't know what the national conditions of your Kanglang country are, but now Zinayu hasn't woken up. We have to save her first. I just checked her and found that there was something wrong with her respiratory system and her lungs were injured. If she leaves the oxygenator, she won't even be able to breathe normally. She must be extra careful. But what about those ministers? If Kanglang country doesn't have them, I'm afraid it will fall into the hands of the Grand Tutor and the left Prime Minister. They have already colluded with Yan country and Xiling country. Leng Yu was so angry that she almost jumped up. She didn't expect that they had developed thoughts that they shouldn't have over the years. If the emperor knew about it, he would definitely be very disappointed with them. Watch your sister first. I will try to protect the innocent people. Since she is a minister of your Kanglang country, I believe they will have a backup plan. Let's wait until she wakes up. Bai Luo was very calm. After leaving 2 puppet thugs outside for Leng Yu, he rushed out. He was not a saint. He could not care about the lives of all the people. He just didn't want them to be bullied. But after he went out to look around, he was surprised to find that the officials had suffered heavy casualties. Many ministers who were closer to Leng Yu and his faction were almost slaughtered, but ordinary people were not affected too much. It's just that the Imperial City announced that martial law would begin from today. People were allowed to walk outside and buy daily food and daily necessities for only a short time every day. Most of the time, every household was required to stay at home. The people had experienced civil strife in the Imperial City before. After the news was announced, everyone began to frantically purchase various necessities outside and then stayed at home honestly. After Bai Luo took a tour outside, he was surprised to find Zinayu had woken up when he returned. She was just leaning weakly on the bed and didn't say a word for a long time. End of this chapter. Thank you very much for reaching the end. Don't forget to like. Looking for more exclusive content and immediate access? Subscribe to our Patreon. Remember, every like, subscription, or donation encourages us to continue. Thanks to everyone. See you in the next video.